unknown forces strike the edge of ecology.
Symptoms of a political economy that goes back centuries. The Bilderbergers of old took the land from the people, and it is that privatisation that is so traumatised society today. We are disconnected from the land, and we need to get the land back in common ownership. On top of the land fraud was the money fraud, where we are charged for the use of money. Interest-bearing money. Interest is one of the biggest eels in our society. It allows leverage to build these massive corporations. It discounts our future. A forest is worth more in the form of sawn timber today than it is standing in 1,000 years' time. It is interest which drives environmental destruction. Everything else is just noise. You can put in all the environmental controls in the world, and as long as discounted cash flow is the mechanism to value future income receipts, you will destroy our future. The final fraud, which was added during the Industrial Revolution, having taken people off the land and taken away their means of survival, and having charged them for the use of money, which means that those who have money can exploit those without it, and we know it drives inequality. It's proven. It's mathematical. The other thing that they did was convince us that in order to qualify for the privilege of living on this planet, we have to have a job. So those parasites who are earning money from interest and rent can live off the back of the rest of us, but we are expected to graft at meaningless, destructive jobs. Technology has given us wonderful advantages, but they are not being shared. The concept of full employment in this day and age is an absolute nonsense. We don't need all the jobs that are done. We don't need arms manufacturers. We don't need people counting carbon emissions. We don't need accountants organising tax fraud. We can do without all of that. So finally, I just want to leave you with a message. And that message is that we cannot rely on leaders. And it's very natural to look at someone who speaks well or looks the part and think they're going to be our salvation. They are not. We are all corruptible. All of us. It's a human failing. Maybe for the best possible intentions we will all do the wrong things given sufficient power. We need the power and we need the knowledge. So we need sufficient income to survive without grafting 5 days a week, 9 till 5. And we need to take an interest. Knowledge is power. And we can take the power once we understand the way the world works. So do your research. The Critical Thinking Project website is freecriticalthinking.org. Don't listen to what I say. I'm not the fountain of wisdom, but there are sources there. You can follow the chain. Beware of misinformation. There's plenty of misinformation around, but talk to people. Share information. If we understand the nature of the problem, we can destroy this corrupt system. There is a new age emerging, and this is it. Thank you very much.
You're listening to the information from the Bilderberg Grove Fringe on Saturday, June the 8th, 2013. I'm not sure who that speaker was, but there'll be another one coming up very, very soon. We're in a lovely green field. We've been frisked and searched and scanned, and they let us in after that. So we're going to keep this rolling. There'll be lots of speeches. We'll edit it down a little bit. Yeah, it's a very big crowd here in the field, despite the difficulties getting in, and a helicopter hovering overhead fairly constantly. And we're only about 10 feet from the barrier which shuts off the Watford Hotel, Watford Grove Hotel I think it's called, that's visible over there about a mile away on top of the hill, red brick building.
happened. You've all seen me up playing. This is the man that confronted Henry Kissinger 3 times.
Hey! Woo!
I'm not about to. Stop it. This has all been really overwhelming for me. I don't even know what to say. I didn't even prepare anything to say really. But thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for all the love and appreciation. If I had one message to say to everybody is that no matter what happens, no matter what they decide, no matter what obstacles we face in our lives, never, ever forget that the truth is within all of us, and our lives, our future, are decided by our actions, not their actions. I don't like giving talks. I don't like grandstanding. I'm not going to tell you what I did before. I don't even like being complimented, to be honest with you. I think it would be awesome right now if we could maybe open up a dialogue and have a conversation with each other, because it should never be about one man, one person, one human being, because this is about all of us who are here. All of us here should be equal to each other. Y'all came out, y'all traveled from all over the world to be here today, and it's just really overwhelming sometimes seeing so many people just being able to look everybody in the eyes and see that humanity, see that human side of everybody. It's really just an amazing and beautiful thing to do. But I would love to have a conversation with you guys on stage if you guys wouldn't mind that. And if you guys have any questions, please do what I do and just stand up and scream and interrupt me. Go right ahead. You don't believe there is an innate beauty to humanity. You have every right to your belief and opinion. I know people may see it that way. I know it's difficult not to see it that way. But whatever happens, everybody come over there and give this guy a hug immediately. Everybody give this guy a hug right now. I'm serious. Stand up and give this guy
He'd be
a hug.
close to death.
Lift him up on your shoulder.
He's going to regret asking that question, trying to trip him up or something.
But it is hard. It is difficult. It is depressing. It is sad. And I get there sometimes too. It happens to me. I get down. I get out. I can't sometimes in the morning I don't even wake up facing all the problems we're facing. But one thing you have to realize is your life is determined by you and you only. The decisions you make, the thoughts you have, the actions you take reverberate, and they become your life. So be very, very careful about how you think. We could talk about how bad these guys are all day long, but you're feeding into that dark energy. We could call these guys elite. We could call these guys the top of the top. But in all reality, when you face them one-on-one and you look them in the eyes and you tell them, we know what's happening, they crumble. They blabber. They call security. They call the cops and they run away. And the reason they do that is because they're weak, pathetic human beings who don't have a soul. Go ahead, go. The question was, how do I find out where these Bilderberg members were Kissinger and Rockefeller and Rothschild and Tony Gosling? That's a very good question. We just made a recent video on our YouTube channel, YouTube.com/HereChange, how we confronted Henry Kissinger. Watch that video, but it's really ultimately your determination. If you're determined, if you're persistent, there's nothing that can stop you. There's nothing that's impossible. And I wish I had more time to do more research so I could give you some facts or tell you some fascinating points, but I really can't because I don't really have time. Most of my time is on the computer looking up Henry Kissinger, May 2013, New York City. then the next one, and then the next one. Most of my work goes into finding these guys. And then I don't even have time to research a question because my entire time is spent looking for it. Here in China, you can find it. They're in newspapers. They're in colleges. They're in lecture series. You find out what's happening in your area. You find out the schools. You find out their lecture halls. Find out where these people are speaking. You find the most prominent organizations and you look at their websites, and then you look for the events, and you'll be able to find them. If you're persistent, there's nothing you can't do.
The trouble is we can't hear when someone asks a question, so there's no roving mic. We are in the field.
All right, come on, questions, go ahead. I'll find out. I'll be in the G8 in Ireland in just a few days, covering the big rallies that's going on there. One other point I want to make is that everything we do is pretty much me and Sierra. We do a lot of the work independently by ourselves. And one thing I wanted to do is to open up that opportunity to do the kind of things that we're doing to everybody here. And it's very simple. If you guys are interested in possibly making videos or confronting politicians, we're going to make more how-to videos. But if you want to talk to me here about starting an independent chapter or just making videos for another group or organization, whatever it is, the name doesn't matter. What matters is taking action. We are changing. If you don't know, and some people here have never heard of it, is about instead of complaining and talking about all the bad stuff and moaning and crying about how the mainstream media is not doing their job, We Are Change is an outlet for saying, you know what, they're not doing their job. But there's a big, huge door here that we could actually do their job for them. We could replace them, we could shame them, we could ruin them, and we could become the mainstream media. And we can actually be a true source of information. And the reason I specifically chose media as a way of expressing myself, journalism as a way of expressing everything I wanted to do, is because when you provide information, when you research and investigate and show people what's going on, you're able to actually free somebody with information. And then the more information gatherers we have, the more investigators we have, the better society and humanity will be, because information is power, and the more powerful we are, the less powerful they are. No! Very lot of questions, but please make it a precise question. Let me know if you're interested in making videos. Come talk to me. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for having me here. And thank you. Yo! Hold on, Luke! I missed Dr. Chairman. I should have been better questions. Yeah. Questions.
Thousand people.
Yeah, possibly. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean 100's not that many, isn't it? 10, 10's 100 when you think about it.
Yes, yeah. Not bad considering how hard it is to get here.
Yeah.
It's not like we're going to Preston Park.
Yeah, it's a little bit sort of...
Hello everyone.
Hello, he is.
My name's the Noisy Parrot, or Trevor. You know, got the name for me, it's alright. But I've got some words to recite for you today.
Silly Poets Hour, is it?
My whole life I've been biding my time. Then I realised this reality's been falsified. Media stylized to dramatise life and keep the population traumatised. We must be preoccupied with lies designed to blind the unqualified. All the things that keep your mind occupied. The modern modified system of social suicide. Mental homicide for the masses. Living in a democracy run by fascists. The highest and lowest classes clashing till the system crashes. Then you stand around clueless as if no one knew this, hoping that the moment passes. But this is Armageddon. Dust to dust, ashes to ashes. I can't believe no one else has asked this. What on earth this cash is? It's bullshit. Am I the only one with the bollocks to say this? Live my life day by this. My life's been awesome since I realised this. It's marvellous. Every second has a purpose. There's nothing worse than feeling worthless, but I'm past it. Being enforced by the universe, so glad it never lasted. And I know it's never going to be easy. I've been bullied, all these people tease me, making out like they are the ones trying to please me. Because that's just what needs to be. They know what's going on, know how to lead me, know how to feed me, teach me, know how to dress me. Of course, because they're the ones that know what's best for me. They make my decisions for me, envision a bright future for me, because they adore me, apparently. I know, right? Rich them, poor me. Thank God for the self-appointed powers that be. The people who run the show because they've got more money. It's kind of funny when you think about it, because you realise you're an idiot. The world has turned to shit and you've been a major participant in it. And the people who stand in the planet's defence are viewed as miscreants, rebels, misfits and delinquents. But that's taking a piss a bit, innit? I ain't no anarchist or communist, I just want everyone to be happy, and that's just me being honest. And it's easily fixed, I promise. We're all one thing, one love, the universe. Seems like you've all forgot this. Work it. Gifts and curses to opposing forces, new sources, endorses, people first, law enforcers. Discourse reinforces what I thought in the first place. With a lead in place to the base, the living of a life to a rat race. Chase truth with haste as I retrace space, look back at misplaced grace. United States dictates, negates to create escapes. Embrace life to get a taste of what makes mistakes. Preface the race and it predates fate. There's nothing that I can't equate. High stakes translates to fate, but wait, I can't contemplate. Creating hate today is my worst trait. What makes me great? Restless, messing with the system's best. Top 10 well-dressed men, leaders of the West. We assess this, blessed with a quest to address this. Obsessed with money, madman's mess. Take it all in, digest, rest, stay abreast, then jest, just to get it off my chest. Never second guess, just say yes in the interest of the oppressed. Nevertheless, I transgress, no stress expressed. Hard pressed to do my best to impress with excess finesse. I wouldn't have expected anything less. A test infested, pest infested to press success. And the constant conflict suggests that we all just fight to the death and see what's left. But it's ridiculous, because look at this fickleness, wealth, wickedness, innocence lost in pitiless increments, brought up on this fictitious syllabus. Dissident life designed to lobotomize all of us, plus give impetus to the villainous, defective, directive, irrespective to the collective objective. But it's frivolous, this spirit is limitless, persistent vigilance and resilience, infinite in all its brilliance, asynchronous militants, and intricate, ambiguous incidents, omnipotent, witness the stimulus, and it's never going to cease to exist. So we pick a side wide-eyed, confined to the test and tried guide. By a lesson we find mind, think what we like and it feels right. Message implied inside, and you find that it's all planned perfectly, coincided with harmony, almost certainly for eternity. The school of life fraternity. So we learn lessons to put aside, and alongside the best kind of girls and guys, and we turn tides, going worldwide. We're free and united, so we glide with each stride. Never complied with the nationwide rule supplied, so we know we died with pride.
Thank you very much. I've been the noisy parrot. You guys are beautiful. Brilliant.
A lot of people out there are, but you know, they're you're just sitting there like that. If you're informed, you're already done that. You just planting the seed, isn't it?
Yes, the beautiful green trees behind the speakers. It's a very rural place. About 2,000 people here, we reckon.
Good afternoon, everyone. Again, we are so look at the clear blue sky. We are so lucky for this weather. It's absolutely gorgeous. Right. The next speaker that we have is a man called Dan Dix from Press for Truth, Canada. Please put your hands together. If any of you have seen the Canada,
he did the G20 one.
He's done that with the Scottish guy, didn't he? And we're very, very grateful for that.
Funny actually. Yeah.
Awesome. So much, guys. It's great.
He was a con man.
First time in the UK. Very, very fun. Henry Kissinger.
Just moving a bit closer.
So basically the work of that brought it to my attention, and from there it led me to people like the late great Jim Tucker. Are you guys familiar with Jim Tucker? And also Daniel It's alive again. And doing that amount of research gets you to the point where you want to get involved, as you guys are doing today. And so when I heard that Bilderberg was coming to Ottawa, Canada, just not too far away from where I live, I decided to go there and check it out. And it was my first time documenting something like that. And back then, when I went to Ottawa, that's when I found out there's a huge Canadian connection to Bilderberg, which I often find is not getting covered very much. I found out that nearly every Prime Minister since Pierre Elliott Trudeau in the 1970s has been a member of the Bilderberg group. Jean Chrétien, Paul Martin, Stephen Harper. And there's people in there right now in that building like Heather Reisman. She's on the steering committee of Bilderberg, and she's the CEO of Indigo and Chapters Books in Canada. It's one of the largest book chains, so she has a lot of influence over the distribution of information. And the point I wanted to make about 2006 is back then, there was literally only about 10 protesters there. And just look how far we've come now with thousands of people here. It's absolutely incredible. So basically the point that I wanted to make here today is that, I'm sorry I'm losing my spot, but the important thing is that we always have to remember that their entire organization is basically structured in somewhat of a pyramidal structure with them at the top, and they see all of us underneath this thing. But the beautiful thing about that is we're the ones with all the power in that kind of a situation. So it's really a matter of continuing to grow the numbers, and when we have enough numbers that can step out of that system, almost through like a global non-compliance, to step out representing like a brick in the pyramid. And when you remove yourself from this system, you can begin the collapse of this entire structure that these guys have set it up in. So that's what it's all about. That's why we have to continue to expose groups like Bilderberg. And I want to encourage everybody to take whatever vibes or energy or the feelings that you're getting from this particular event here and now. Take that with you, take that home with you, and continue to expose Bilderberg. I mean, tell your friends, tell your family members, tell your co-workers, and don't let this just be the end of this. A demonstration like this is fantastic. It's great that this many people are coming out, but it's important to not just let it end here when we leave this festival today. So I would encourage you guys to continue to just do what you're doing right now. Obviously, you're taking the initiative to come out to an event like this, so you're obviously concerned about the Bilderberg group and want to expose them. So I would just encourage everybody to take this amazing energy that we're getting from this crowd here today, take that with you when you leave here, and continue to expose Bilderberg. And when we do that, we can eventually begin the crash of this pyramidal structure when enough of us step outside of this system. So, anyways, guys, I think that's it. So thank you very much. I'll be around if you want to talk to me or have any questions. I'll be down here. So thank you guys.
Underneath going to catch it. That was really good, doesn't
it? Next, thank you so much, Dan, by the way, and thank you for documenting Bilderberg again this year. Next, I've got a lady called Belinda McKenzie, who some of you will know. She's been an activist tirelessly for years, helping to expose 9/11 and also campaigning for Holly Gregg. She's an absolutely fantastic and hard-working woman. Really, really does deserve your applause. She's going to speak to you now. Thank you.
Thanks, guys, for your claps, but it's not me, it's the cause. The cause is the protection of children, the next generation. Woo! Let's hear it for the children. The children come first. They should come first. They should always come first. Their voice should always be heard. And unfortunately it's not being. And I attribute this to what I always refer to as the private lives of public people. Today we're here not to celebrate public people but to challenge them. So I would like to see everybody going away today to start challenging them about their private lives, and in particular their attitude to the protection of children. If we make children the key plank of any campaign we're in, put the children in that campaign with you, alongside you. Always ask the politicians, ask the public figures, what do they think about paedophile rings not being investigated? What do they think about families being broken into and children being taken away from loving parents by the social services and the police? Babies being snatched, newborn babies snatched from hospital wards just after birth. This is going on in this society. So, it's a horrible subject in one way, but it's what we've all got to, whatever campaign we're in, we've all got to get into this issue of the abuse of the children by our politicians, our judges, and the social services. And it starts because we have a culture of uninvestigated paedophilia. Now, if that isn't familiar to you by now after the Jimmy Savile revelations, then I don't know where you've been for the last 10 months, 11 months. It's all coming out now.
Yeah.
I represent something called the Holly Gregg Campaign for Justice. Holly Gregg, it's actually a campaign located principally in Scotland, because she's a Scottish young woman. She's 33, she has Down syndrome, so she's not only a child victim, but she's also a disabled, a vulnerable adult victim. And in 2000, in case anybody here hasn't heard the story, Holly and her mother, by that time she was 20, went to the police and reported the fact to them, this is Aberdeen, the Grampian police, that she had been raped throughout her childhood, she said, by her father and brother. Now get that fact first of all, because, wait, this is May 2000, right? The first people to be reported were her father and brother. What should the Grampian police have done? What should the Aberdeen police have done at that point? Well, they did exactly what they should have done straight away, which was to obtain medical forensic confirmation that Holly was a victim of long-term serial historic abuse. I don't need to go into the facts any more than that. They got the confirmation. What should they have done next? They should have gone round to the home of the people she named, who happened to be her father and brother. But they didn't. And this is where the whole fiasco has started. The police did not do their duty in May 2000 of investigating, questioning, going to the home, seizing computers and bedding of the people Holly named as her abusers. Why didn't they do that? And this is the question that everybody will ask then. Why didn't they? It became a little bit apparent why not, because a few months later, when the police didn't do anything, then obviously Anne and Holly, who wanted this injustice put right and wanted the criminals brought to task over this, and Anne is a very feisty, very straight up and down Scottish mum. No nonsense. She can take on anybody. She has been taking on the authorities for 13 years. So she's not somebody who would just accept that the police were not doing anything. She started a campaign immediately, and she's been pressing on with that for 13 years. She's been gagged, unfortunately, by the court, but I'll come to that in a minute. So why didn't the police investigate? Well, when nothing happened, and during that summer of 2000, as the weeks went by, Holly told her mum more and more facts about what had happened to her, and Anne was absolutely astonished. She told her mother that just before her beloved uncle, Anne's brother's, death in a car fire in 1997, this is 3 years previously, Anne's brother had been found in a burning car late at night off the A90 road outside Aberdeen. The doors of the car were shut, the windows were sealed. A piece of plastic piping lay on the ground beside the car. The emergency services arrived around 9 o'clock. They stayed till around 1:30. There were 2 witnesses to the car fire because they said that they'd actually tried to pull Anne's brother Roy out of the car and revive him. And one of them had had his hands a bit burned by this, although there were no burn marks at all on Roy's body. So he tried to revive him, and in the process had broken, because this is in the autopsy report, which Anne didn't get for 12 years. The police wouldn't give it to her. Through the course of trying to revive Anne's brother, 6 ribs had been broken and the sternum, which is the hardest bone in the body, cracked. There was a big bang on the back of his skull. Well, he could have got that through being dragged out of the car. But the bones were strangely broken. It's not just a normal case of trying to resuscitate somebody. And at the scene, there were 2 witnesses. There was somebody called Sylvester Cadger, who was the guy who tried to revive Roy Gregg. But there was another person at the scene who Anne tried to get the name of, and the identity of whom has never been revealed. Whether he or she was male or female is not known. The only thing that is known is that he or she was a nurse. Right, so a male or female nurse was at the scene, and why haven't the police been questioning him, and why has his identity been covered up? So already Anne was suspicious from the start that there was foul play in the case of her brother's very violent and unusual death, and she knew her brother would not commit suicide. He's just not the type. Roy was a very cheerful, easygoing, very relaxed fellow. He was a publican for quite a lot of his life, and he had no money worries, and he had nothing that would give any reason for him to want to top himself. So Anne was suspicious from the start, and she was even more suspicious when shortly after Roy's death, her ex-husband by now, she's now separated from him or divorced, went into Roy's house and stole all his bank documents. Right, and therefore Roy's house passed to Anne's husband, not to her. She should have inherited Roy's money and his house. So she's had from her ex-husband her inheritance stolen, and she now suspects, and she's always suspected, that her brother was killed. But then Holly, going back to 2000, during the summer of 2000, Holly told her mum something else that her mum had no idea about, which was that when her father was raping her one time, her brother, Anne's brother, Holly's uncle, had arrived and had stumbled on Anne's husband, Holly's dad, raping Holly. Right? And when, I'll call him Dennis. I'm not supposed to be naming names, but I'll call him Dennis. So when Dennis was surprised in the act, he then threatened to kill Roy. I'll kill you. Holly picked that up. Holly has Down syndrome. When you speak to Holly, it's always in very short sentences, but they are to the point. What did he say, Holly? I'll kill you. She told her mother that. So of course now we are doubly suspicious that this was a murder of Roy, both for the fact that he had been found raping his niece and for the fact that he'd stolen all Anne's money. What have the police done about this? Nothing. On the night in question, the night of the car fire, they wound up their inquiries completely by 1 o'clock in the morning, and the coroner's verdict was that it was suicide. Suspected suicide. Death from smoke inhalation, suspected suicide. That's been the official verdict all these years. Well, sorry, but that suspicious death needs investigating, along with Holly's allegations. And in fact it ties up with another car fire which actually achieved prominence in Scotland in 2011. And funnily enough, the man accused of that crime, Malcolm Webster, this is all public so I can name these names, he killed his first wife in very similar fashion to the way that Roy Gregg met his death. And Malcolm Webster was convicted. And now, funnily enough, Malcolm Webster is a nurse. And in that trial, it came out that his wife had received a payment from Malcolm Webster of something like £10,000 For what? That was left hanging. There seems to be a link between the Websters and the Greggs and the death of Roy. And I can say that because the Webster case is very public. Now, we're getting back to Holly and her allegations. The police have not investigated her father and her brother, so Holly tells her mum that there were other people involved, and this is where the temperature in this case starts to rise. She named altogether 20 other people, and she's named one or two since, but we stick at the figure 22 altogether, because that's enough to be going on with. They were involved in some way in the abuse that she suffered, and she said they were all part of a sort of social circle, and many of them were actually related to her father and brother. These people have never been questioned. She went on 26th of August again to the Aberdeen police to report these 20 other people. She got as far as 16, and then a social worker who was at that interview injected her in the leg, and she couldn't get to the end of the list. She passed out. 10 days later, she and her mum, Holly actually only told her mum all this information at age 20, because that was the year that the marriage between her mum and dad finally did break up. Dennis had been particularly violent to Anne, and they had taken refuge in a women's refuge in Aberdeen. And it was only when they were in the women's refuge that Holly had the courage, at last, away from her dad, to tell her mum everything that had happened, because her violent father, nasty piece of work, Dennis, he had told Holly what paedophiles usually say to their victims: if you tell anybody, I'll kill your mum, your sister, your brother, your pets, whoever, I'll kill you. And Holly had been threatened throughout her childhood that one word to anybody else and her beloved mother would be dead and her dogs would be dead. So that's why she kept quiet. And also a lot of the abuse had happened away from the family home. So Anne, who was being regularly drugged by her husband, they were always tired in the family. Anne says, we were so tired. Holly and Dennis were tired. I was tired. We were all so sleepy. It was as if we were ill. This is how Anne describes it. Well, there's a very good reason for that, because when Holly was taken away at night, she was drugged and her mum was drugged. And so nobody knew anything about it. Holly did go to the doctor. Anne did take Holly to the doctor because she had strange symptoms in her teens particularly. And the doctor said, nothing to worry about, Mrs. Gregg. Holly's symptoms are all because of her Down syndrome. It's part of her medical condition. So, as I say, the temperature rises after 26th of August 2000 because 10 days later, in the women's refuge, suddenly 6 or 7 police arrive, social workers, a psychiatric nurse, arrive at the refuge. Anne has gone down to put the rubbish outside in the big bins. Holly is upstairs on the 2nd floor in the flat and looking out the window, and she sees her mum being pinned down on the ground, pants pulled down, injected in the buttocks, and then prostrate, being taken to an ambulance. And this has been the most traumatic thing for Holly of the whole horrible experiences that she has endured throughout her childhood, to see her mum being attacked like that and taken away, and then no mum for 3 days, 4 days, because mum's in the mental hospital, which is where Anne was taken. That triggered terrible post-traumatic stress disorder in Holly, and this is why Anne could not drop the case. I'm going into quite a lot of detail here because quite a few people won't have heard the story, so I'm making sure that everybody knows the story. It's being told by Silky. I've got to wind up. So anyway, there's a murder in it. There's 22 people alleged to have been abused a disabled Down syndrome young woman. There's a huge cover-up. There's non-investigation by the police, and there's a huge cover-up. I would say millions of pounds of public money both in Scotland and in Shropshire, which is where Anne and Holly now live, have been spent covering up this paedophile ring, this alleged paedophile ring, rather than investigating Holly's allegations, which is what should happen. We are battering away at the moment at the new Chief Constable of Scotland, who took his office in April this year. Scotland now has a centralised police force. This man, Stephen House, has had letters from me, letters from Robert Green, who is, as you know, Holly's champion, and Robert's story is a whole extra dimension to the case. Please, if you have any time, as soon as you go back, Google Robert Green's blog. Robert Green's blog is very, very interesting. Robert Green, who was championing Holly's cause for 3 years, was sent to prison last year for breaching the peace in Scotland, for having named some of the people that Holly alleged abused her, as well as her father and brother. For that, he was convicted and served a sentence. Well, he was sentenced for a year and served 3 months. We had a big public campaign in Aberdeen. Robert Green had a post bag overflowing with letters, cards, gifts, well wishes every day of the 3 months he served. The prison, Craig Inch's jail in Aberdeen, couldn't hold him more than 3 months because he was too popular. So they had to let him go. So Robert Green is the hero of this campaign. And Robert would like you all to know today that he's written to the new Chief Constable of Scotland 3 times in the last few months, and I've written once, to ask what, in the view of this new top policeman in Scotland, constitutes a good reason for investigating a crime of serious sexual abuse of a child. Could we please hear it from the police constable? Should serious sexual abuse of a child be investigated, and how should that happen, please? No answer. That's where we are today. I've got to stop. Follow the Holly Gregg case.
Well, after that slight interruption now, we're back at the Bilderberg Fringe event on Saturday, June 8th. Well, there seems to be some sort of disturbance at the gate. Maybe they've let in the maximum number they're going to. We had a technical shutdown on this recording device a little earlier. I'm not sure how much of that we got, but that's what was happening about 5 minutes ago. The speakers are just taking a slight pause. There's a very interesting guy there talking about how the numbers at Bilderberg, you know, covering it in the media, have gone right up from a few years ago, 2009, when it was hardly anyone. Now you get a big turnout for protesters and alternative media, and also mainstream media, which are here.
Everyone, do not get drawn into no negativity, please. Please, it's all about positivity. Don't get your ego only focused on negativity. Positivity. So don't get drawn into it, please.
Try and get them in, then the police say they're not coming in, it's going to be conflict.
Yeah. We will be back.
They're not banned as well. Yeah, unfortunately.
And here's my friend Wayne, who I come up with today. Hi Wayne.
Hello.
What do you make of it so far? How's it going?
I think it's really great. I think it's really positive. I think it's historic, the fact that the Bilderberg conference hasn't really been covered in the mainstream media since 1954.
This is not a good time to have an interview.
Yeah, come on, we're going to have to make room for other people to come in, because they won't allow people to come in if we're all sort of spaced out.
Okay, alright. Right, this is mine. This one will drop in.
Right, yeah, we don't drop.
I just wonder how far we can get in to sort of get good sound on. We're all being moved around, so
we just stay here.
So we'll be right near David and Alex when they talk.
I live in Holland, so I don't know many.
That's much better now because we were way back.
Yeah.
Thank you, I can be heard now.
Yeah.
It's so amazing to see this, man. Underneath the sun, so many different sorts of people united around opposition to this kind of hegemony. You know what I mean? Different backgrounds, different ethnicities, all here expressing the same thing.
Yeah, do it there'd be a gap, wouldn't there? We're not getting in, you know, because you're getting clash of noise.
Yeah. And then I'm going to do a speech which has rhythmical inflections. It's not music, alright? So please don't show any musical appreciation.
I'm going to go. I've been meaning to go for 2 hours, and I can't because I've got verbal diarrhea. It's a condition, and I better go. I might say think about the poor women you have to queue up.
I know you had earlier. When he come out with a bicycle with no, just the wheel, not the band on it. It's just the wheel.
That's called recycling.
Yeah, but he took it No, that's what I said. That's what I said.
I'm the line no one takes time to trace. They'll never find my hiding place, cause I'm the face behind the face. Annihilate my wire cage, hired slaves for higher stakes, cause I'm the face behind the face. I'm the line no one takes time to trace. They'll never find my hiding place, cause I'm the face behind the face. Annihilate my wire cage, hired slaves for higher stakes, cause I'm the face, but I am pandemonium. Hearts as black as Iraq petroleum / opium seeds. While the mothers of slaughtered soldiers openly grieve, I stay paid up weapons deals, still holding the wreath. So many armies of belief, the church deacons to opiate chiefs could only hope to achieve. No henchman, I'm less sensible. I'll puncture your left ventricle, disable your senses when the arrowheads enter you. I can't count those I train to speak. Pockets bulging trade receipts while disengaging naval fleets. Statements leak in vain, they seek in maize to eat. I'm paid while claiming corn and grain depletes. All hailing your praise to me. We thrive in instability, sprinkle mix instant military, fear my infamy. Eliminate all who have an infamy, invisibly conduct arms without symphonies. I'm the line no one takes time to trace. They'll never find my hiding place, cause I'm the face behind the face. Annihilate my wire cage, higher slaves for higher stakes. I'll drop a round of bombs on a hospice basement, just to compensate for my loss of patience. Cluster bombs in concentrations that's more commonplace than a comma placement. Is the abomination an abomination when they bomb a nation on invasion as if my occupation's occupation? I'm a direct funding wars. Nah. I'm paper printed, stuffed indoors, stuffing in the cupboard floors. Wind, smoke, and nothing more. Am I here or an idea? A chimera or fine air? I'm just a line that no one takes time to trace. They'll never find my hiding place, cause I'm the face behind the face. Annihilate my wire cage, hired slaves for higher stakes, cause I'm the face behind the face. I'm the line no one takes time to trace. They'll never find my hiding place, cause I'm the face. Annihilate my wire cage, hired slaves for higher stakes, cause I'm the face behind. Very will I will erase till this world is in my image made. With such efficient pace I eliminate cityscapes like a village raid. Switch and trade your states to my dinner plate that delivers steaks like livers and steaks with a willing haste. I'm spitting, swilling hate in his face to leave the bitter trace. Trying to win the race is like you lit a flame through wind and rain. You may as well sling grenades through interspace. I'm busy brimming hate with this grinning face, like Judas with his kiss betrayed. You think you make it quick escapes, I hijack your interface and have your spirit chased. You'll never know for sure if I patrol the forts and open shores. Just see the soldiers pouring in for open war. All on patrol for petroleum stores. You don't have to see the wind to know its force. I'm the line that one takes time to trace. You'll never find my hiding place, cause I'm the face behind the face. Annihilate my wire cage, hired slaves for higher stakes, cause I'm the face behind the face. I'm the line that one takes time to trace. They'll never find my hiding place, cause I'm the face behind the face. Annihilate my wire cage, hired slaves for higher stakes, cause I'm the face behind the face. Thank you very much. Yeah, okay, keeping this again. as non-musical and threatening to the authorities, who've been amazing actually. I've had no beef with the police, which is great. And, so yeah, I'm going to do something which is something of a speech.
I was wondering about that. It's not the same guy.
Cool. Yeah, give me a click, a little
He's
soul
a cycle
clap.
courier.
Yeah, this is lovely.
Hey.
All right, check it. While that's going on, I'd like to just select maybe 4 or 5 words from the crowd I can freestyle about. Any suggestions that brings us all together as words are amazing? Go ahead. Courage, which it takes a lot of in this new age. Patience, courage. You said patience. Russians. That's the old days. Yeah. Okay. Cold War's going on for sure. Compassion, courage,
Love!
one love with a hyphen. I like that. That's one word now. One love. What about pyramid? I see pyramids everywhere, man. Yeah. Just joking. Anyone else? Last word. Enlightenment, not entitlement. That is a dope strapline right there. I'm going to have that on a t-shirt. I like the fact it's still going. Okay, check it. It's me, and I'm about to grab a mic. I guess we're alright, because the claps ain't amplified. I'm doing what I do, I come to rap for ya. It's nice to chat to dudes right with the camera. Woo! Because you know how I rips. So everybody here make some noise for Bilderberg Fringe. I'll be up on stage and I love to MC. So yeah, I'm gonna do it because I like rapping. And what the world needs is more compassion. It's all great because I'm coming with knowledge. Freestyle on the mic, I had some porridge because I want it, and so sometimes I'm off topic. I feel brave, like I have a lot of courage, like the people over here while I'm spitting this. People nowadays thinking it's ridiculous, but people, if you're listening, if you're a practitioner or a parishioner, trust me, people trying to rip us up and make us live underneath a pyramid. What? And that's the way I'm gonna rhyme, see? I'll be up on the freestyle kind of rhyme scene. I'm gonna take the title, friend, when I'm rhyming it. And right now, we the ones with the entitlement. Yo, cause my rhymes like doves, bringing more peace to the world like one love. Cause I came with a punchline. We're gonna spread across the earth like the sunshine. Thank you very much.
Soweto pitch, please, how incredible was that? This is what we do. We have to make do because when we're not allowed amplified sound, we have to find new ways, and that for entertainment, that was incredible. Next, we've got a special guest who just told us today that he could make it and come down and speak for us. Michael Meacher MP.
Oh wow!
Thank you very much indeed. I'm here obviously because I'm outraged by Bilderberg, but more particularly, I want to thank all of you because you're putting Bilderberg on the agenda. And if there's one thing that ought to be on the agenda, it's what is happening in that hotel over there. To have 130 of the world's, or certainly the Western world's finance capitalist leaders meeting together in a situation of complete blackout and utter secrecy is an outrage to democracy. But let us be clear, democracy in our civilization is on the slide. It isn't the democracy that we knew 40, 50 years ago. It's very different. We've already had in the Eurozone 2 technocratic prime ministers replacing democratic prime ministers in Italy and Greece, and now we have the leaders, much more than the political leaders, the real leaders of Western finance capitalism, meeting there with no agenda, No report on the proceedings, no communique, and no report to Parliament, as far as I know. And that's why I have put down a request to the Speaker of the House of Commons that a statement be made by the Chancellor of the Exchequer or the Prime Minister, both of whom are attending.
Yes!
They're not attending in a personal capacity, they're attending in an official capacity. And on that basis, they should report to Parliament.
We should know. To the people.
Friends, just contrast that with what happens when David Campbell goes on our behalf to Brussels along with the other heads of state. It's all out in the open, the press is there, it's reporting usually on the Saturday and the Sunday. We all know exactly what's going on. That's the way it should be. And exactly the same when they have their Davos conferences in Switzerland every winter. Again, it's completely open. We all know, we think we know anyway, broadly what is going on. But this time it is very different. Why? Well, I can only speculate because I haven't been there. Not yet anyway. But I don't think I have a chance. Anyway, the point is, what is significant? Why do they want secrecy? That's the question that we need to ask. It is not just a cosy chat. You don't get people coming thousands of miles who are the leaders of the European Commission, who are the president of the World Bank, or the WTO, or the IMF, all coming here, not because they want to have a cup of tea in a Swiss hotel, but because they want to have complete frankness in their discussions. They want to have serious policy making, and in the state of current capitalism, they want to concert their plans. And it may be pretty brutal. I can well understand that that is what they're discussing. But the fact is, if they are discussing those things, the one group of people who ought to be involved, it's us, because we are the ones. This is going to affect the lives of every single one of us in the UK and the rest of the West. These are the people who are deciding our future, our livelihood, our jobs, and if you look at the bedroom tax, even our homes. So it's about time that we had this opened up. Now, I think that's an extremely reasonable request. I'll just say two other things. It so happens, I must say, the ironies in politics are never ending. It so happens that on Monday of this week, Cameron, as a result of the awful further revelations of sleaze in the House of Commons and the House of Lords, which I utterly deplore and should be punished, Cameron decided there was going to be a crackdown on lobbyists. And there was going to be transparency, and there was going to be an end to corruption. So how is it that at the end of the week, the biggest lobbyist group in Western capitalism... And one other thing, which you may have noticed, in today's papers, wonderfully timed to fit in with the Bilderberg conference. You will know that they are very, very keen to know about every single email, telephone call, video, text message, all the online traffic that all of you and all of us are making billions and billions and billions of them. They want to track every single one through Facebook and all of the other social media using MI5, MI6 and the GCHQ in Cheltenham. Well, what I say to them is if you are so keen to know about every single email, etc. that we send, we want to know One final thing. I think what they should be discussing, and I affecting the Western world, indeed the whole world, including China, and that is prolonged austerity. It is the single biggest issue which affects us all, and we should be involved in that. Now, let me say, the obvious thing is to look for an alternative to austerity. Why? Because the policy, even in its own terms, is failing. Because the decline in government tax receipts as a result of lack of growth exceeds the cuts in public expenditure which the government manages to make. That means the budget deficit under current policies is actually increasing, not declining. So why in heaven's name don't they change it? Well, I've got a lot of things that I could say to you about that, but the real point that I want to make is the obvious way to cut the deficit, which is much better for all of us anyway, is to expand the economy, put people back to work so that they are starting to pay taxes instead of taking benefits, and that is the quickest way to kickstart the economy and get it going. So why don't they actually do it? Now let me tell you,
I don't agree with that one.
I know there are some people.
Rothschild!
And growth cannot be endless. I totally agree. But in the current state of affairs, I think that is the right way forward. All I want to say is this. Osborne, if he were here, bless his cotton socks, would say, there you are, there's Labour again. Soon as there is a crisis over borrowing, the first thing they want to do is borrow more. Well, shall I tell you how we could do this without any increase in public borrowing at all? We own RBS, the Royal Bank of Scotland, and Lloyds. Why don't we tell them to invest in growth and jobs?
Yes.
We don't have to bribe them, we should tell them because we own them. Secondly, we've got this thing that no one understands called quantitative easing. What it means is electronic printing of money. We printed £375 billion of money and given it to the banks. Have we seen any results out of that? No, we haven't. Why instead don't we use a much smaller proportion of that and invest directly in manufacturing, in industry and services and create the jobs and growth that we and the rest of the Western world need? This is my very final point. I'm a politician. The best way to deal with this crisis is to tax the rich.
The corporation!
The best way to deal with this crisis is to tax you lot.
Yeah.
I will ask you one final question. Just think, in the last 4 years since the has caused all of us to have to tighten our belts so disastrously, what would you say has happened to the 1,000 richest persons in the UK?
Got richer!
Got richer!
Next question. Just 1,000 persons, we're talking about 0.003% of the population, absolutely minuscule number. How much has their wealth increased? Well, you won't know. This comes from the Sunday Times Rich List. Their wealth has increased by £190 billion in the last 4 years. Just 1,000 people. I think we have a message for them. Don't tell us that we're going to tighten our belts. How about you lot? Paying your corporate due taxes.
Yeah.
Not taxpayers, but their persons. Thank you very much indeed for coming. I must say it's wonderful to have an opportunity like this. It is worth 1 million parliamentary debates.
Warm reception there from Michael Meacher.
Ladies and gentlemen, just one more time before the lovely Justin Walker.
Minister for Environment.
The Right Honourable Michael Meacher MP, please. The only MP that is excellent.
Ladies and gentlemen, Justin Walker.
Hello everyone, hello. Right, I'm going to be 5 minutes. I'm going to be very brief, and I want to say thank you to Michael Meacher. It's fantastic that we see at least one of our MPs actually doing something and sticking his head above the parapet. Now, I'm here to offer you a solution. The reason why those people up there think they have power over us is because they believe they control the world's money supply.
Yeah, that's right.
The Federal Reserve Bank, the Bank of England and all the central banks, and above them you've got the Bank for International Settlements. How many people here have heard of the Bank for International Settlements?
Yes!
Right. See, some of you are switched on. I can tell you now 99% of our population do not know about the Bank for International Settlements. Every 2 months they meet around a circular table and they decide on the money supply of the world. That is how unaccountable, how unelected and untransparent they are. The reason why they're up there believing they have power over us is because we have handed over to them the power of our money supply. Now, the good news is this. We know that Abraham Lincoln issued the greenback dollar during the American Civil War, and they had to kill him to get rid of him because it was an idea before his time. It was an idea to get rid of the central bankers. Well, in 1914, and I didn't know this, and I've been researching this for some time, I was given a tip-off by an insider in the Bank of England. He said, if you want to sort out the British money supply, if you want to sort out the British economy and get people working, to get people industrious again, to get our country back off its knees, very simple, restore the Bradbury pound. Now, some of you may not know what the Bradbury pound is. We've got these leaflets going round, and the headline is, grab the Bilderbergers by the Bradburys and collapse the debt-rating bankers. It's very simple. In 1914, Lloyd George got an act through Parliament in 3 days for basically the country to start issuing its own money through the Treasury based on the wealth of the country. Today, our country is valued by the Office of National Statistics as being something like £24 trillion. Now, what do you think we could do to this country with £24 trillion? Have a punt, good idea. Now, once we get back to Bradbury, and we've got 14 months until August the 8th, 2014, exactly a centenary since the thing started, the Bradbury came into creation, we have got 14 months to bring back the Bradbury. Now, when we do it, every country in the world is going to do the same. And what will that do to our friends up there? They have no control. They're going to be like the Wizard of Oz. They've got nothing. So please, everyone, when you go from here, go online, look up the Bradbury pound, go on to ukcolumn.org, British Constitution Group, and other sites now who are promoting the Bradbury. Sign the petition we've got. We've got to get 100,000 to get it voiced in Parliament, and above all, write to your politicians. So far, all the politicians are avoiding us like the plague because they know we're right. So go to it, my friends.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I just give you a little bit of a public service one here? If you go out and leave the site, you're not going to be allowed back in, which is, well, whatever. That's just the decision. Sit tight. We've got David Oak, we've got Alex Jones, and for the moment, we've got Martin the Poet.
Hey. Good evening, Bilderberg Fringe Festival. Say hello. Hello. This is a reaction to the royal birth impending. I will get excited about it when the woman gives birth to a baby kangaroo on Christmas Day. And perhaps you can repeat that with me. I've got some uncomfortable truths, and if you repeat them, they may well try and ban you. But it wasn't me or my people that put horse meat in a Flinders frozen lasagna. I saw a figure for £183. Is that an amount or a number? To me, it's just sounds. Or is it zeros and ones on a computer display? It's about as weird as the fact that Kate Middleton is going to give birth to a baby kangaroo on Christmas Day. Now, the earlier figure I referred to before is just the amount for a family to keep the wolf from the door. At the bus stops, the pensioners grumble all day. Should we kill it and use it for fuel, or should we cook it and eat it when Kate Middleton gives birth to a baby kangaroo on Christmas Day? Now there's time for some verifiable facts. The new governor of the Bank of England was on the board of Goldman Sachs. $800 billion was the cheque to him that George W. wrote, and that was to correct his mistakes in the subprime housing mortgage market, but to keep us afloat. We seem to be in a terrible sweat about a notional thing called the national debt, that it equates to fewer hospitals and stupider schools where you can train check-out operators and treat people as fools. Critical thinking has gone the marsupial way. Kate Middleton will give birth to a baby kangaroo on Christmas Day. I've got a message for you, brother President Barack Obama. The People's Republic of China own you now. Do you feel lucky, punk? Will they harm you? Because they've certainly got it in for the poor Dalai Lama. And he's only a Buddhist, you can just fight back with karma. It's just like the way Walmart always fucks over the small farmer. If you treat your people like worker ants, they will have to survive on food stamps. But we in London really shouldn't be so smug, because we've been taken for a right fucking mug. Because the State Bank of the People's Republic of China paid £483 million for Thames Water. So in the future, if you find yourself doing what they say you ought to, things as a dissident could get considerably worse. You could quite literally find yourself dying of thirst. That would be sad, you just have to say, but Kate Middleton will give birth to a baby kangaroo on Christmas Day. Now there is a cancer at the heart of society. They sculpt in the shadows, now their skins stream notoriety. Cameron, Colson, Flamehead Rebecca, little Max Clifford, that slippery fecker. It seems that even on It's a Knockout, and all of old style Radio 1 was stood there with its cock out. But over with a place called Broadmoor, they gave the keys to the monsters on the wrong side of the door. That's very sad, you just have to say, but Kate will in fact give birth to a baby kangaroo on Christmas Day. Now, great Englishman George Orwell conceived a state of mind called doublethink. Here was a man who went to Spain, looked the fascists at both sides of the eyes and didn't blink. And I'll give you two competing beliefs to hold on to at the same time. But ask yourself first, whom does it serve when they conceal the crime? Ask the new Pope, the old Pope, MIs both 5 and 6, and the CIA. Which bloody country's got the chemical weapons today? Because I remember a period of hysteria when you tell me it's Syria. A lot of verbal diarrhea about what's going on in North Korea. I remember way back when you had a dossier, Tony, that told me it was definitely Iraq. And we're in a fix because we ain't got no hands fixed. And while we're in the vast gap between reality and what they would have us have as a perceived appearance, who the fucking fuck gave Jimmy Savile security clearance? If you wanted to sneak into a children's home like Mrs. Thatcher, you've got the commission slip from the child catcher. So remember, on December the 25th, 2013, as your granny's farting out her sprouts into the sofa, live on Rupert Murdoch's Sky pay-per-view by Caesarean, pure identification, the new king of the Commonwealth and dominations will be a baby kangaroos, rocked out by Kate Middleton on Christmas Day. I thank you for coming. Ladies and gentlemen, Martin Parrott, that was inspired.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Martin Summers from Bristol Community Radio.
Hello, my name's Martin Summers. I have a show with Tony Gosling on Bristol Community Radio. I'm also a member of Reinvestigate 9/11. Now, I'm also a member of the Labour Party, if Michael Meacher's still here. But I'm going to give you some very basic stuff. Many of you may or may not have heard. How many people here have heard of Gladio? Gladio. Okay? Now, there's a chap called Francesco Imposimato. He's actually the honorary head of the Italian Supreme Court. He's an old guy, and he wrote a book which has been published in December of last year. It is called La Repubblica dei Strani Impuni, which in Italian means the Republic of the Unpunished Massacres. As a result of police investigations in Italy running back for decades, it is now absolutely clear that NATO intelligence services were the terrorists in Italy. They bombed Bologna railway station and killed 80 people. They bombed Piazza Fontana in 1969 and killed 9 people. They were involved in the kidnap and assassination of Aldo Moro, the Prime Minister. And Imposimato was the investigating judge in that case. He was also the investigating judge in the case of the assassination of the Pope, which, if you some of you are old enough to remember, was carried out by a grey wolf right-wing terrorist from Turkey. Strange that, eh? Yeah. Now, in actual fact, the book is very clear. It says that the NATO intelligence services were behind all of these massacres, that the that's the clear position, but nobody has been punished. And I've seen interviews with Imposimata in the last couple of weeks where he says, I've also got documentation that links the terrorism in Italy in the 1970s and 1980s to Bilderberg, the Bilderberg organisation. And it's not me, Martin Summers from Bristol Community Radio saying that. That's the head of the Italian Supreme Court, folks. Now, I spoke to the police officers earlier when I arrived, to the inspector in charge of our little business here. And I think we've actually had quite a good relationship with the police today, and that's the way we want to keep it. Because we want to put these people behind bars. Right, changing the subject matter slightly. How many people here have heard of a guy called Frank Kitson? Kitson. Right, okay, this will be new information for you. Captain Frank Kitson was in charge of British Army counterinsurgency in Kenya in the 1950s. And I don't know if people have noticed, but the Kenyans who were tortured by British forces have just won compensation. Only after 30 or 40 years. One of the guys that won compensation lost his testicles, as did many of the so-called Mau Mau insurgents. Up to 1.5 million people were put in camps in Kenya during that period. And up to we're not quite sure, but Caroline Elkins, who's a US academic, suggests that up to 250,000 of those people were tortured to death by British forces. Tortured. Electrocuted, flogged, burned, and there was also a big deal about castration apparently, because they had this thing about black guys. Yeah? Pretty horrible stuff. Anyway, he wrote the British Army's counterinsurgency manual, which is called Gangs and Counter-Gangs. Now what you do with gangs and counter-gangs is you're fighting the Mau Mau. The British called the people they were fighting the Mau Mau. What they called themselves was the Land and Freedom Army. So the whole name Mau Mau is a way of dissing them, making them sound dangerous and nasty and like Al-Qaeda and all the rest of it, yeah? Now what you do is you then turn some of the people that you've captured, and they go out and carry out atrocities, which is then blamed on the Mau Mau. Brilliant, isn't it? It's been NATO counterinsurgency strategy ever since the 1950s. Now I don't quite know what happened in Woolwich, although I think I pretty much do know what happened in Boston, and we've done a lot of work on what happened in London in 2007. 2005 with the 7/7. Frankly, the idea that NATO intelligence services are involved in terrorism is not conspiracy theory, it's historical fact. That's all there is to it. If we were standing in Belfast in 1969, do you know what they're asking you to do next? We're not standing in Belfast in 1969, are we? We're here on a field in Hertfordshire in 2013, and we're going to keep it peaceful. But by God, we're going to win!
Excellent. Okay, we've got a coming quickly past now. Here with a little freedom of information is Jake Banks. Ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, sir. I'll just introduce myself. My name's Jake.
The mic's not on.
Oh, sorry. Is that better? Cool. I'm part of the team that's kind of helped organise this festival thing. But what I wanted to do, because nobody's done it yet, is just give them a very quick shout out, because this is a ridiculously awesome event. To Charlie, Hannah, Kat, Stephen, Silky, Ellen, Eleanor, Patrick, Steve our security guy, and Steve the compere/sound guy. If we just give them a massive round of applause. Thank you very much, guys. The reason I did it is a couple of years ago I filed a Freedom of Information request with the Treasury about George Osborne's attendance at the 2011 meeting in Switzerland. I went the year before to Spain, it was all good. The next year I couldn't go because I couldn't afford it. So I kind of just made a little office in my girlfriend's parents' dining room. I had all my paperwork, my computer, I was bringing newspapers, trying to get it in the press, no one wanted to know. So what I did was I filed a Freedom of Information request with the Treasury. And a process that should have taken 6 to 8 months actually took about 2 years. I got the final bit of paperwork, I think February or March. I've been sitting on it for a few months, wondering when's the best time to release it. I guess now is the time. Yeah, the Freedom of Information Act is probably one of the most important pieces of legislation this country or any country has. So basically what I did was I sent them a Freedom of Information request, requesting everything that they spoke about at that meeting with regards to George Osborne. I wanted to know how much it cost, what they spoke about, and the paperwork, any kind of briefings, anything. They sent me one back a month later saying no, which is fair enough, that they can do that. But then what you do, for those that don't know, if you do send a Freedom of Information request, you can appeal it. So I appealed it. I had nothing better to do. I had my computer open. It's all good. So I sent this off for an internal review, and I have this here. That took, I think, 9 months. I received that in May 2012, and bearing in mind that the meeting that I wanted information from was from June 2011, so this has taken an awful long time just to get this piece of paper. And what's really telling, and the reason I'm up here now, is because they give you exemptions. If they don't want to give you information, they give you exemptions. And the one telling exemption, let me just get to it. Application of exemptions. The reason the Treasury would not give me information about the Bilderberg meetings was because of section 35(1)(a). I have it here, I have it in email. Information relating to the formulation or development of government policy. Exactly. If any of you have been lucky enough to speak to a Bilderberg member in person, on the phone, through email, they say that it's a forum for discussion. It's a talking shop. We're just having coffee and playing golf. I have a piece of paper here that says otherwise, basically. I was kind of upset by that, so what I did was I sent my next request to the Information Commissioner's Office, which is the next port of call, which is a completely separate department up in Cheshire, I think. And I waited another 6 months. I received this earlier this year. It's just a really detailed no, you cannot have this information. So I was kind of deflated. I was sat there, I was like, damn, they didn't give me it. And I gave it to my girlfriend looked through it and she was like, wait a minute, read between the lines and look at what you actually have. And she read the exemptions back to me again. And I was like, holy crap, I'm actually sat on something that, could potentially damage that organisation sat on top of the hill, and I'm hoping it does. If anyone sees a red dot on the side of my head, please let me know. So the exemption, information relating to the formulation or development of government policy. Sorry, I kind of went off track. If you've ever spoken to them, they say it is a talking shop. There's no policies formed, there's no decisions made. We're just talking. You guys have seen the security. I've seen this before in Spain. A lot of you are new to this. This is ridiculous. This is absolutely amazing. The fact that you guys come from all over the world to this, and thank you for just sitting there and looking at my stupid face, listening to me with this great information. What I should tell you is I only released this on my website earlier this week. I'm going to tell you my website in a second. Somebody gave it to David Icke, and David Icke graciously put it up on his website. My website exploded. I just kept an eye on it. I think it's had 4,000 hits in a matter of days. I only put it up on Tuesday, I think. So I mean, if you guys want to see this, I have all 3 documents. I'm gonna hope to catch Michael Meacher, give him some. I think this is a good bit of ammunition. The website is www.size13films, and the 13 is 13, .blogspot.com.
Give us a spoiler!
Size13films.blogspot.com, and you can find all 3 PDF documents on there. And you can just read through it. It's a lot of jargon, it's a lot of boring, long words, but the good stuff is in the second document on page 3.
Which is?
There are 2 other exemptions other than the one that they've admitted that they formulate
Now you got to go to the site
and develop government policy in that building. Information is exempt information if its disclosure under this act would likely to prejudice relations between the UK and any international organisation. And the other one, information is exempt if its disclosure under this act would likely to prejudice the economic interests of the UK or any part of the United Kingdom. It's ridiculous. I mean, the top one's pretty good, but I mean, you put all these three together, you've got a case against these guys. I could take it to a first tier tribunal. That's going to cost money. It's already taken 2 years, and you know, it's a long process. If anyone wants to donate, I'll happily chase it up. But yeah, just get this out to your MPs. Tell them to bring it up in Parliament. Spread the word. Get on the website. Just spread it as far and wide as possible. Yeah, it's all on there. Thank you very much for listening to me. Thank you very much for coming out. Stick around. We've got David Knight, Alex Jones coming on. Take it easy, guys. Thank you very much.
That was Jake Bex, ladies and gentlemen. Right, while we get to our next speaker, we have a gentleman come, Mr. Owly Owl, who's going to give us something. He's disguised as a Tory MP, but
thank you.
It is a disguise.
Hello?
Hello.
I think I might be in the wrong meeting. I'm from Milton Associates. We have a contract in Syria. We're a consultancy agency. The police didn't buy it either. Yeah, they didn't let us in, but we tried to go around the other entrance. Anyway, I'm going to share something heartfelt, which I wrote last night. Last night, I was in probably the best party in all of London, the coolest venue, the biggest. I got it for free as well with my mates.
Thank you very much.
And everyone was raving out of their minds,
Thank you.
probably in all kinds of substances. And I couldn't relax. Got it. I really couldn't relax because we were all pretending, we were all smiling, as if the money and the privilege to have these amazing cool parties doesn't come from relying on resources from Kenya, from all over the Middle East, from stealing oil, okay? And I know people here feel this, and you say it to people every day, but maybe England's too comfortable sometimes, and people don't want to hear it, they're scared, they're afraid of hearing it. So I thank everyone who carries on soldiering every day and says something and speaks out to their friends, family. Even people go, oh, can you shut up with your theories? Can you shut up with your... We are brave to carry on speaking the truth.
Yeah.
So here's a quick poem to that effect. I can't do it. I won't do it. I won't pretend on a smile while our partying is built on bombing the Middle East. I can't just relax for a while. If the strobe lights are made in China and the drugs from Colombia's blood-stained soil, I cannot make the most of the mood when it's paid for by wars over oil. It's a state of national trauma. We're collectively in denial that all of our habits, lifestyles and ways have been blatantly put on trial. They want to keep us happy. They need to keep us from the truth. Because if we embrace the universal plight, our anger would blow through the roof. But it's no longer anger at one wizard, an evil man who's pulling the strings. It's anger at how we've become so complacent with flying on borrowed wings. Some will soar above mountaintops. Most will crash and will burn. So we must wake up to our Icarus race if we are to move forward and learn.
Yay!
Howdy, Al, that was really brilliant, and you wrote that last night. Okay. Now, do we have our next main speaker on? Where are any lovely people? Who is there? See, we can't technically have any music, and I don't. Everyone stay calm, but apparently they heard the reggae earlier. Oh. It is nothing to do with the Quest Arts Police, I can emphasise. It's over there. So what will happen with being emphatic? No music can be amplified there. So I cannot sing a note. The music. But, no, we're not going to, because what they want is for Alex not to speak. And we all want Alex to speak, and David Icke, and all of the other lovely speakers who are just about to appear miraculously behind me. Have we got one? Yes. I tell you what would be great, because Charlie Skelton was cut short. When we because Charlie had written a piece. Yeah. Let's see if we can get Charlie Skelton back to the stage. Oh.
I'm not too sure about him, sorry. I'm Charlie.
That's a bit rough, isn't it? The neighbours complained about the music.
It's a new one.
It's 11 o'clock.
I'm not sure about Charlie.
Okay to 11 o'clock. Music
Okay, we've actually, this is different. I don't think there's any law against this from the Grove. Sorry guys, I should know as well, my job. We had, but you're not allowed to make any music for it, alright? That's it, unfortunately. We've got some dancers. Now, I'm not sure how that's going to work without music. Maybe we'll have to be the rhythm section.
We can hum.
That's music. As long as it's not amplified, you can.
Of course you
can. Yeah. Just don't play it in that direction. No.
Not directional music.
No. We have to be hard on this because we can't give them an excuse to turn off the PA. Because as you all know, Alex Jones is a man who's got a very quiet voice.
Yeah.
And I know he's very shy, and we're very welcoming in England here. And we've got the dancers coming in a minute, and we're hopefully going to get Charlie back on if Charlie would come back. But he may well be in the green room. Oh, we don't have one. Green room. They're never green, by the way. They're never green.
Yeah!
It was the Earth Angels crew just come down from London. So we're going to warm up a little bit of drumming. And then they're going to...
Sorry.
Can you all fit on the stage, guys?
video of your shoes?
No, I'm trying to work out what the stupid thing. No, it's so complicated.
It's a summer.
I was trying to change it. It's the settings I can zoom in and back. It's a nightmare trying to work it.
Okay, now we're just going to do some spoken word as well.
Guys, we've just got an important announcement actually. I'm just going to pass over to Hannah Borner, who's a woman who actually brainchilded this entire thing, but she's got an important announcement quickly. Here we go.
Hi, I just want to say that the Bilderbergers currently are playing golf
Yeah.
this afternoon.
They want a bit of peace and quiet, do they?
We were running barge trips, so we could enter Grove Land, and they've actually shut the canal for their golf.
Unbelievable.
So they can golf in private.
That's crazy.
So what I wanted to have a shout out if anyone's got a really good zoom lens. We've got any lenses here.
I think you've got one or two.
So the golf course is between the canal and the Grove Hotel.
All eyes.
So if there are any lenses, can you please just kind of look and see? Sorry. Look and see if you can see anyone golfing. If so, it's a plutocrat. So please can just take an image of them. The other thing I wanted to say is tomorrow morning, if you're going to stay overnight, we have information that they're going to be leaving very early. What they would like to do is just sneak out while we're all kind of sleeping off the night before, and then we're kind of, if we came in about 10, 11, they'll all be more or less gone. So I know, it is Saturday night, but if we can just make an effort to get up tomorrow and so we're there watching them go out and they're not sneaking off, that would be great. Well, okay, we've been told that all of the delegates will have left by 10. Then, so they'll start probably very early. So, get there as early as you can before then. And then we're told that the steering committee will have all left by 11. Because the steering committee have a kind of debrief afterwards. They're kind of discussing how well it went and whether people sort of have taken their orders and who they like and who they're going to invite next year. So let's make an effort to be down here early, and we have to vacate this site at 2, so we can still we can still have a nice morning and afternoon. And the other thing I was going to say is it's so brilliant to see all of you here, and I've been to 3 Bilderbergs before, so this is my 4th, and I start seeing the same faces again, and it is hard to travel. But the one thing that is amazing about it is the people that you meet. So I would just ask you to just network, make friends, have conversations, and when you have those conversations, just take each other's contact details. Because there's so many people from prior Bilderbergs that I wish that I kept in touch with. And we really are going to need those contacts. We're going to need to create our own networks. They're up there networking away for the future, and we need to network for our future. So we need, so perhaps even tomorrow morning, or we could try some kind of networking event, or just do it informally. There's an after party tonight at the King's Lodge Hotel. You're going to hear more about that. Garagite will be playing. So just come along there and we can just make these connections for the future. Anyway, lovely to see you all there, and
King's Lodge, is it? Oh, yeah.
See you later.
That was Hannah Borner, everybody. We've got her to thank for all here today. So Hannah, thank yourself. She's an amazing woman, incredible research. So we're just going to get a spoken word, and then we're going to get some more stuff here after that. Okay, this is our last piece with Earth Angels. It's a bit fast and spontaneous, but okay. This one's called Pandora's Box. Okay, we're just going to have a drum beat. Okay, don't do that, okay. The bubble at repeal, Pandora's box and sealed. Our protective membrane burst, the lid's off the main frame. It's released the corporate curse. This was the beginning of things getting gradually worse. The bank
bankers' bailout. This law was a precursor as accountability's eroded. We're falling further and further down the hole. With a grandfather clock, we took our responsibility, separated it and sealed it off. Now the whole world waits with bated breath. One for Greece, Iceland, Ireland, Argentina. Wouldn't be the cost. We're all trying to fathom out who really is the boss. Behind the green mask is a fundamental ask for international transactions tax. A global power our hands lack. If banks and multinationals were fairly taxed, there'd be enough theoretical money to transact. For global welfare, perhaps. Or is it all a big international debt trap? If we tax the banks, do we fear collapse? Do all politicians need to admit they really feel that? We have built a world far too complex to map. If we look at the output, what will the system bring back? How will our interconnected lives now react? Economists, yes, here, loudspeakers feedback. 9 out of 10 of your predictions prove to be whack, because we can get the bandage and further trace it back. The first corporate executives of South Sea Company, in point of fact, called to account in Parliament, then the executives were sacked. They were called to account in Parliament. It carries on. They're called to account in Parliament and then the executives were sacked. Because the face of complexity can be unwrapped. Their externalities do not add to the face of our humanity. They only subtract. As their international law negates the power of contract. We need to end the international corporate hijack. Rethink the nation state model, localise, backtrack. And I continue on with my pacifist attacks. The arms trade is yes, they're the most ruthless pirates, and round with the trade round of the gap. Then years later around the WTO tables, the Bilderberg tables, the corporate executives were sacked, all putting money into Tea Party host hat, bringing all the way to the bank with the Cheshire cat. We need to end the international corporate hijack, rethink the nation state model, localise, backtrack. We need to end the international corporate hijack, rethink the nation state, WTO, localise and backtrack.
Okay, everybody, now thank you so much, Earth Angels. Thank you. We're going to introduce you very quickly before Tony Gosling speaks. We've got the wonderful Darren Diogi here from the People's Public Trust, but he's not going to talk to you about that right now. He's going to do something else.
Good afternoon. Yes, I'm going to get up here, all right. Hello there, everybody. Thank you for your attention. Thank you all for coming here today. I'm only going to take a few minutes of your time. My name's Darren Diogi. I do a whole bunch of things. I was speaking here yesterday. I was hoping to get a longer stint today, but the few moments I've got with you, I'd like to do something a bit different. But beforehand, I just need to talk about authority for a moment, because what's going on here, very much so, is about a story. It's all about a story of human power and human function. Now, authority is a funny thing because it's about the author, which is the storyteller. Now, at your homes when you were children, the storyteller was your mum or your dad. But the story we're talking about here is something a bit different. And it's about the story of humanity. It's a story of what a good human is, what a good human does, what direction our species is going in. And at the minute up there, what's happening is they're trying to tell a particular story. You're all here, obviously, to try and tell a different tale with your lives. And I'd like to encourage that. And the reason I've been asked to come up here today for just a short stint is because there's a few people out here who are trying to change the story of this event. Apparently, there's a few people in the crowd that are trying to stir up a bit of nonsense. I'm here with my family to try and spread a positive message of change and of a change in the story and the direction of our species. And I don't want any silliness going on by any sort of like usurping, immature, whatever that's going on. But I just invite you to consider what's going on in your heads if you're listening to any of these people who are trying to stir up trouble. What story are they trying to get you to describe about this event with your life and your actions? What's going on in your daily description of life? Whose story are you telling? And I just really like to encourage the fact that just get you all to look around for a second and see that nobody here looks anything like you, nobody dresses anything like you. You've all chosen your appearance and your clothes uniquely and with effortless confidence. I just really want to celebrate that uniqueness in each of you and ask you to try and seek to find your own story in life. What is your role? Don't be standing here talking about somebody else's power. Every time you think that these people have power, you're giving it to them. Don't confuse that. Yeah. So what I'd like to do is do something completely different, if that's all right. And it's just to try and change the atmosphere a little bit and not have it going in that sort of direction. So, would everybody be up for joining in a bit of sound? Do you know how important sound is to us humans?
Yeah.
That's why they call your body parts organs. It's why you refer to each other as sound. It's why they call it a universe. It's why you measure space in volume. We have all these terms about how important sound is. You decompose when you die, and what I'm asking you all to do is to compose yourselves. The only thing that you are responsible for is your conduct. These are all sound-related terms for a good reason, so don't let anybody stir you into actions that don't tell the story of your life that you don't want it to be. So would everybody up for be joining in for just a couple of ohms to try and change the vibration? Yeah, okay. Now here's the funny thing about ohm. I just want to give you, but this is one of my specialties, is about words and language, and I'd just like to say that ohm is a funny one because a lot of people think when they're asked to do it, they think, well, this is pointless, this is silly, why am I doing this? Well, there's a funny thing about the word ohm, and it's actually about... Has anybody here seen an ohm, by the way, just out of curiosity? Yeah, funnily enough, Hindu philosophy says the ohm is the fundamental building block of the universe. Behind all that is manifest, you will find that which is ohm. What on earth does that mean? Well, Western science says the fundamental building block of the universe is the atom. Yeah. Has anybody seen an atom? Atom.
No.
Atom. No, exactly. They're talking about exactly the same thing. So when we do this sound, I want you to realise that what you're doing is you're shaking up the very vibration of your being. You're shaking up the state of this very space here to create a much better story than what's going on over there. What I think really interesting is we're here as civilised, developed, awakening individuals who only need to be held in by a little piece of red tape. That lot up there need giant steel barriers to keep them in. Who's going to win? Yes! Because they are so afraid of you. Because your power is real, theirs is not. Yes. Sorry? Yeah. Anyway. Well, my main thing is a thing called the People's Public Trust, which is about challenging all these people for breaking the trust that I placed in them to have the well-being of me and my family as their highest personal priority, to steer our country and make decisions that are progressive and inclusive and for your well-being, my well-being and everybody else's. And I stand here and charge and accuse most of them of failing in that sacred trust, of breaching it, of actually breaching when we were all children and looking to them to look after our borders and take care of the things that would keep our communities safe, that they have failed. And I would like to stand and charge all of them for breaching that trust and for failing in their duties in a public office. And if anybody is interested in that, please do log on to www.peoplespublictrust.com and sign up, please, because I'd like to take some representative actions in your names for broken trust and misconduct in their public offices. It's really easy if we unite and do it, but we need your names and we need your backing and we need your voice. But for now, we're going to shake up some atomic action, if that's all right, but atomic of the right nature. So can we do some free ohms together? Are people up for that? Yeah. All right, okay. So if everyone wants just to take a few deep breaths, maybe close your eyes if you want to. Ignore all the peripheral surrounding noise. It's merely a distraction. Do you know the word distraction is about losing your grip? Don't let anybody get you to lose your grip. So hold on a second, take a few deep breaths. One more and then we'll begin. We're ready to begin. 3 nice clear ohms, folks. Thank you, and again. Last one. Just keep your eyes closed and pause in the aftermath of the sound. And just continue to breathe. Did you know that your fundamental state is one of feeling perfect bliss and peace and where you are, and that all that is ever happening with all these stories is to try to pull you from that fundamental state? Don't let anything pull you from your state of power and presence within yourself, Don't let anything distract you from that, and then you'll be telling the story of your life. So thank you all for your time and attention. If anyone's interested, thank you. My work, my two websites are peoplespublictrust.com and alternativeanswers.net. The biggest message I want to give out is I think we're actually in the midst of a gender crisis. I think the biggest problem that we've got is the fact that all our men have to be collared before they have to go into certain establishments. There's places I can't go unless I'm wearing a collar and cuffs. And my point is that just because they're made of fabric, it doesn't change what they are, which is symbols of slavery, and it's what they've always been. You're in a graded collar system of blue collar, white collar, dog collar. All the police here are known by their collar number. They get their names taken off them and they're known by their collar number because they are uncuffed and allowed to use force while you are not. Just consider that. These organisations operate is by sending in the blue collars, then the white collars, and this is something that is a fundamental problem we have to face. That's the level that's being played at. Thank you for your time and attention again.
Ladies and gentlemen, excellent. That's good that wasn't great music because it was just one note. Because it was one note. If we'd have done a third or a fifth, then we would have been in real trouble. If it's a flattened fifth, we're out of here because that's jazz. That's what we're all doing. In the meantime, on BBC Bristol Radio, sorry about the PA, you should know that. Not the BBC, because this man is an ex-BBC man. He's seen the light. He gets better money now, and this is the activist, Mr. Tony Gosling, ladies and gentlemen.
Thanks very much. Awesome, and historic in a way, historic. 10 years ago when I was covering the Bilderbergs in Versailles, in France, in Paris, we had about 5 or 6 of us, and it's just wonderful to see how this movement for truth and exposing criminal activity going on right across the NATO countries and other parts of the world, but particularly NATO is up there. It's great to see you all. Please give yourselves all a round of applause just for being here, please. Thank you. First, okay, a little bit about me. First of all, I started my life in aviation, a family business, and then I worked as a journalist for about 3 or 4 years, and a researcher and a reporter at the BBC. I worked at Greater London Radio for a while when it was good, before it became BBC for London. I noticed they elbowed out Danny Baker recently, which is absolutely disgusting, and it's the kind of thing that the BBC seems to do nowadays. People who raise our spirits are lowered in the BBC. But anyway, then I went on to do land rights activism, but after the BBC, when I came across these guys, alarm bells rang. And alarm bells rang for one main reason, and that's because I discovered the first chairman, Prince Bernhard of the Netherlands, that's from 1954 up until the mid-1970s, had been an SS officer before World War II. He joined the SS. So Bilderberg in its first 20 years was being chaired by a former SS officer. This immediately rang alarm bells for me, as I'm sure it does for many people who haven't been told that, and also other journalists. But what we've got up on the mountain there really is like a convention of Bond villains, all in the same room, all at the same time. Just think about one Bond film after another. That's what the atmosphere in these places is like. At Versailles, I spoke to the Greek finance minister who came out of the meeting. Of course, someone that wanted to come out now couldn't do it. He came out of the meeting, he said the atmosphere in there is toxic, and anyway, the cigarettes are too expensive. So he'd come out onto the streets of Paris to have a chat with us. And what happened afterwards to Greece? So the politicians who are in there don't believe that they're always happy about being there. I think the characteristics have changed a bit over the years. Anyway, they're darkening our world. It's almost like a load of cloud coming across. Today the cloud's shining because we're here. But these guys are bringing clouds across. They're darkening Europe with corruption. It's like Europe and the United States and NATO countries are becoming like a kind of massive banana republic where everything is just done for a few leaders and democracy is being crushed. They're capturing our main political parties with money, with donations, Now I actually think, as in some other countries, what we need to do is make sure that political parties, if they get our vote, with that comes some cash to fund them, that they don't get influence from outside, from private business and banking, to do what they want, but to do what we want. If we vote, some cash should come to whatever the party is that's standing, if a party's standing. We've got to take the money out of politics, not just here. Another thing, when we heard that this meeting was going to take place, there's now a whole bunch of people out there around the world who look into, and particularly Charlie and Giorgio, that discovered that this meeting was taking place here. 2 days afterwards, the newly elected Police and Crime Commissioner for Hertfordshire announced he wanted to see more citizens' arrests in Hertfordshire. His name is Mr. Lloyd. More citizens' arrests. Maybe he was talking to us. Because criminality is massive up on the hill. Particularly HSBC, money laundering, leaving piles of bodies on the outskirts of Mexican villages who resist the drug cartels. Now, HSBC were running those cartels cash around in their armoured vehicles and specially preparing little notches in the banks in Mexico to accept suitcases full of cash. This is HSBC. If you've got an HSBC account, would you like to put up your hand? Hong Kong Shanghai Bank. But anyway, think again maybe about supporting that kind of money laundering and criminality from HSBC. Obviously we've got the war criminals too. But David Cameron had to come yesterday, didn't he? I was surprised to see that he actually announced it. Why didn't he just come in the back door? Well, maybe there's some pressure on him internally to actually tell us what he's really doing. But the point there is that Cameron is the arbiter of the parliamentary code, the only person that can make decisions about whether someone has broken that code and should be suspended from Parliament over too much secrecy or not enough accountability in their activities is David Cameron. And David Cameron has broken his own code by going into this meeting. Now that code might seem like a bit of a boring thing. In the United States, it's called the Logan Act.
Yep.
And anyone who's a senator or a congressman in the US who goes into a Bilderberg conference there, that is then a criminal offence. That was one of the first things that they instituted in the US after they put the Constitution together. Now, can someone grab me my bit of paper, please? Marcus Agius from the BBC, married to the daughter of Evelyn de Rothschild, lives just over the hill. This is Rothschild country, isn't it? Rothschildshire, Hertfordshire is known as. Marcus Agius had to leave the BBC end of last year because he was a Bilderberger, but most importantly because he was implicated in the LIBOR scandal. And this is a scandal, a massive fraud of everybody that is buying pensions right across Europe and particularly here in the UK, but other parts of the world. But it was based in London. And the main LIBOR criminal was a guy called Rain Man, a guy called Tom Hayes. But he was called Rain Man because he was a bit socially inept. Now, he was the broker that did all these crimes. The fact of the matter is he's still in Britain even though he's wanted in the States because apparently he's talking to the police about the real criminals, that is, these people who hired him. They knew exactly what was going on. One change of job, when I think it was when he was hired by UBS Bank, in his bank account he got $3 million just as a signing fee in one day. Tom Hayes. Check him out, the Rain Man. We may be seeing more from him in the future. I know he's worried because much has come out about all the stuff he's told the Met about the criminality of the top bankers. And his girlfriend has started tweeting a couple of weeks ago a bit about how nervous he is. So see if you can find Tom and interview him about the real crimes. Don't just leave it to the Met. We can't necessarily trust that to then go through the system and for there to be prosecutions. But why do I mention the BBC and Marcus Agius? Because we have a dearth of investigative journalism in this country. I mean, I'm not prepared to just apply for a job if it's there. I just get on and do it anyway and then try and sell the work. But Does anyone here remember somebody called Roger Cook from the Cook Report?
Yes.
Yeah.
The Cook Report was actually, we used to watch it. You know, British people, it's the most popular current affairs programme ever on British television. And 10 million viewers a week would tune in to watch Roger Cook. Roger would have made mincemeat of these guys if he'd have known about them at the time. Roger Cook was taken out by, let me hear you, no.
Seems to be a problem with the sound there. Tony's not waiting that long for a reply. There are nice bubbles floating over the crowd, beautiful sunlight, despite the dark message.
Ooh, sabotage!
Bilderberg's pulled the plug.
Give him a megaphone! Give him a megaphone!
There's plenty of them earlier. Megaphone.
Somebody give him a megaphone!
Yeah, there was a
megaphone!
Yeah, wasn't there? There was someone with a megaphone.
Megaphone!
Be okay.
Someone's holding up some banners on stage just to keep the crowd amused. I can't read what they say though, like placards.
Help is on the way.
Megaphone man! There he comes. Yeah, megaphone man! Tony!
Let's get the debate started. Seriously, like, you know what I mean? Not on our name. Simple as. The reason I made these signs here, alright, is because I've had enough.
Hey, give it to Tony! Give it to Tony!
We've all had enough. You know what I'm saying?
It's for Tony, yes!
Tony here.
What's to say, huh?
Testing. Okay. Yes, so the answer to the quiz was Rupert Murdoch and the News of the World ran for a roughly 3 or 4 weeks total lies about Roger Cook in their newspaper, at which point ITV caved in. They've been working with Central Television. So a lot of course, Murdoch's general manager was a regular Bilderberg attender until recently. It looks like Rupert has had a few problems, as you noticed, but it's been difficult for him to attend. But I'm going to take you back now to that initial thing that got me worried about the Bilderbergs. That's the Nazis and Prince Bernhard of the Netherlands. He was just in the run-up to the war. He was working for IG Farben. That's the company that made the Zyklon B gas used in the chambers. And also, he was in his SS uniform. So he chaired that first meeting back in 1954. But I was a bit gobsmacked, fine. But also, Lord Carrington, who then was the chairman after that, who's up in the building up there now, he was also a bit of a suspect character because he was involved in this horrendous Operation Market Garden in
44 in September, the Allies wanted to punch a hole because they'd finished D-Day and they were heading to Berlin. And Carrington was involved in that too. Bernhard, by that time, was being trusted by the British, believe it or not, the British Army had Bernhard, this ex-SS soldier. I'm not sure if they knew he'd been in the SS, but his credentials were signed in to the top of the war effort, and there's pictures of him with Monty looking at the plans for this operation. So there's obviously a suspicion that he was really, in fact, still a German agent, a Nazi agent, at the time when this big operation was taking place, peering over Monty's shoulder. The whole operation was filmed by Cornelius Ryan in the film A Bridge Too Far. And there's an incident in there where these British troops at Arnhem are literally dying, hanging on by their fingernails. A few of them left at the final bridge. And the penultimate bridge, the British soldiers come across because the Americans have taken the bridge for them, losing half of their men as casualties. They get the penultimate bridge. Carrington comes across in his tank, Sherman Lend-Lease tank, and then he stops. And if anyone's seen A Bridge Too Far, you'll see there's a confrontation between him, the guy who's playing him in the film, and Robert Redford, who's playing the American paratrooper. And he says, well, what are you doing sitting around? Your guys are dying. In 3 hours' time, the bridge is going to be overrun. But Carrington sits in his tank for 17 hours, even though we now know there's nothing apart from a few security pickets with rifles between them and Arnhem. For 17 hours he does absolutely nothing. Now the effect of this is not only do the British troops die at Arnhem, but there's loads of others surrounded near Arnhem in a place called, you might have heard of, if you've looked into the Bilderberg, called Oosterbeek. This is a suburb of Arnhem. And the British troops were surrounded for about 4 or 5 days, being massacred by the Germans. And the Germans even nicknamed it the Hexenkessel, the Witch's Cauldron. Because so many British paratroopers were being massacred in that little section. Now, Carrington was implicated in that because he didn't go down the road, sat around for 17 hours in a tank when he could have relieved these paratroopers, but also Prince Bernhard chose that as the exact same place to have the first Bilderberg meeting 10 years afterwards, the Witch's Cauldron. Now, if you haven't seen the film A Bridge Too Far, you'll probably be watching it with different eyes now when you see that incident with Robert Redford in the film. So, that was essentially, many people look at this, I certainly look at it, as a way of keeping the war going a bit longer, so that the Nazis had the chance to do what Hitler wanted them to do, which was to bury their treasure. They needed an extra 6 months to get all the loot from Europe out of Germany and into places like South America, Paraguay, to Argentina, some of it to Indonesia, and obviously quite a lot to Switzerland and other places. But they needed that extra time, and Carrington gave them that time. So this is one of the reasons I think this is really, Carrington, I always thought of a sort of nice fluffy guy, but why did he sit in that tank? He won't answer questions. We've asked him to come on the radio and talk about it. He won't come and talk about it. Doesn't reply to letters, but someone who does talk about it is a guy called T. Moffat Burris. He's still alive. He was one of the American paratroopers that took the bridge. And he said he went over to Carrington
getting this?
in his tank, and he said, I cocked my Tommy gun and I pointed at Carrington's head, and I said, get down that blankety-blank road now before I blow your blankety-blank head off. And of course Carrington didn't. He went, sat in his tank and stayed there. So many people involved in that battle will say that the war could have been finished by Christmas 1944 if they'd have been successful. I don't think it was a bridge too far at all. I think it was a bridge quite near, in fact very near. It was 7 miles down the road, and now we know there was nothing in the way. So why didn't they just finish the war early? Save millions of lives, as Major Tony Hibbert says, who's still alive. He was at the bridge at Arnhem. Why didn't they come down and rescue us? We want to know. So that's the sort of people who have been chairing this meeting. Carrington and, in the past, Carrington and Prince Bernhard. The book which explains what happened to that Nazi loot
Nazis.
is called Martin Bormann, Nazi in Exile. He was Hitler's deputy, and he went off over to South America. A lot of people think he died after the war. He didn't. And he set up 750 corporations over in South America, using those corporations, I think now, as Hitler used tank divisions, and as other people have in the past used armies, those banks and corporations are being used to take over in a similar sort of way to they were in the past. And that's essentially what I think we're dealing with when we're dealing with these guys, is a takeover. It's hostile takeover. They're buying things up like never before. So they're a pretty crooked bunch, in my view. Now, it's all a little bit dark, some of this stuff, of course, so it's important that we got the sun out today, and also that we're all able to make new friends and meet up with old acquaintances. Because there is a fantastic future for us all, in fact. Many people are understanding that the money system is not working. It certainly doesn't serve us. We are becoming its slaves rather than a master to the money system. And of course these banks have got us in their clutches because they took our land away many years ago in the enclosures. And so now we need that money, don't we, to feed our kids, to feed our families. And one of the things, messages I'd like to leave you with today is disconnect from Babylon. This was a sort of message that was put out by Luton's Exodus Collective a few years ago when they were doing free parties before the Criminal Justice Act and actually after the Criminal Justice Act too. Disconnect from Babylon. Look at the way that you can lead your life where you're not tied in to this money system. There is all sorts of ways of doing that. That's campaigning for different money systems, using alternative money systems, or even some people who are able to get away from that completely and become self-sufficient. I mean, that's an old idea, but actually that's one of the ways that we can actually beat these people, I think, is to disconnect from that financial system that we know is wrong. Hello? The other thing is, I always make references to books like The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings, because I think we are rather like those little hobbits. Yeah. We haven't got the army to go and take these people or whatever. What we are is we're the people who will inspire others to do it around other parts of the world. Because Tolkien wasn't a stupid guy. He had a lot of symbology in his books, and he was at Oxford at the same time as C.H. Charles was translating a lot of Old Testament Apocrypha books that had never been translated into English before around. He talked about Sauron, didn't he?
Yep. Yeah.
We nearly had to speak about that.
Turn it on.
He's trying out the microphone. I think the microphone's still working.
Someone's just switched it off again. But yeah, he talked about Sauron, the Dark Lord Sauron. And I sometimes feel like that when I look at foreign policy. You know, you see things are going wrong in Syria, so it's time to do something to us over here. The eye has turned away, it's now looking down here. But the symbology in the Lord of the Rings should be clear to us. This eye of Sauron.
Hello. The eye of Sauron. Thanks for the petrol, guys. Thanks, Mr. Rockefeller, sorting that out. Maybe. The Eye of Sauron is a symbol for the Illuminati. People may think, oh, the Illuminati is a silly thing. A lot of people here I don't think do. If you look into the history of it, John Robison, who was the secretary of the Royal Society in Edinburgh back in the late 1700s, wrote a fascinating book about it. I would definitely recommend you read it. It's very well written. And he explains it was like the MP's expenses scandal of its day. Who are these guys? What are they trying to do to us? Well, it's a massive sleeper cell. That's what he said. Robison was the inventor, amongst other things, of the siren, a steam-powered thing that screamed out down the ages to us. And so have a look at that. There's also Abbe Barruel wrote a very good book on the Illuminati of the late 1700s. Their objective was to control politics, to control our minds, and to control religion to control our hearts. And it was a totally evil system based on the old Jesuit system, which had been very successful, but they decided to use it for their own private and personal gain. The other symbol in the Lord of the Rings is the white hand of Saruman. Now, he's the guy, isn't he? He should be one of us. We thought he was on our side. But then we found out, no, he was on the bad guy's side. The symbology there is the white hand. Now, if anyone knows anything about Freemasonry, they'll know that they love to wear their little white gloves in their little Freemasonic lodges. The white hand of Saruman, the white hand of the traitor to mankind. So I'll leave you with some of those thoughts, because Freemasonry is definitely connected here, right? We've got Joseph Rettinger, who, with his SS pal Bernhard, created these meetings in the first place. He was a Freemason. The Poles have dug that out. A lot of people in Poland are getting interested in digging out information about the Bilderbergs because there's much more awareness of it nowadays. The other Freemason is Andrew Palmer. Andrew Palmer was the creator and the organiser of the last Bilderberg conference that happened in the UK. That happened in Turnberry, in a big golf course in Scotland. Was it 15 years ago or so, 1998. Wow. Now, Andrew Palmer was the personal secretary to the Duke of Kent. The Duke of Kent, of course, being the Grand Master of the United Grand Lodge World Freemasonry. So the connections are there. Maybe we'll find more connections, I'm sure we will, in years to come. But I think I'll just leave you with, I keep saying that, but I will leave you with the thought of just, if we see ourselves as the little hobbit army, we know we won't lose, and we can't lose. These guys are going down. So thanks very much for listening, everybody. See you again next year, maybe, or something consequent. Thank you.
Very good.
That's an amazing story about it.
Ladies and gentlemen, a couple of things just before.
It makes me want to see it again. That's it.
There is some iced water that has been brought in, if you don't know by now. The wonderful Finbar who helped arrange a PA, all for free, everything. He's got a guy to bring a whole bunch of ice water in. It's up the top there, okay? Right. He would have done that business. So he was on the American, he's on the Allies. Ladies and gentlemen, he's a documentary filmmaker and he's got a very, very special guest with him. Mr. Bill Maloney, please.
Let me get you a water. I'll get you
the
a bottle of
toilets
water.
have got no water in them. I couldn't wash my hands. Those of you that know me, you know, like, I use a few expletives, and I promised I won't use any today. So if I fuck up, let me know. I'm just, I'm not talking too much today. I'd rather do my work on film. You can go into primeshfilms.com and see all the work we've done concerning the horrific subject of child abuse. The children of the future, that's where life begins. Let's sort it out. Let's sort it out. Who wants their children in years to come say, hang on, my mum and dad were around then, they never done anything. Why didn't my mum and dad do anything? Paedophilia is controlling world politics via blackmail. Got it? Jimmy Savile was a devil. We've got one up there as well. Kenneth Clark. A nonce. A paedophile. Leon Britton. There's loads of them. You can go on and on and on. But we're not doing anything about it. It's controlling bankers. It's controlling army. And when I was up there a little while ago, because they weren't letting you in, I said, the police officer said, I said, why won't you let them in? He said, because we're waiting for the boss of G4S to say that we can let some more in. I said, well, you working for them? I said, you can't work for them, we're paying you. We're paying the police, they're working for G4. Yes. It's bang out of order. And then the ladies come up to me and she said to me, Bill, I spoke to some people and we can't get no water for the kids down there. Where are you, darling? Did you get your water? You got water now? Good. Let's give the kids water at least, you know what I mean? Then I told two other police officers and it's like,
Now, I'm not saying that all police officers are bad, because by no means are they. I work with them myself, you know. I work with child investigators, detectives. But this was, I was going to rattle on for a little while, but I'm not going to talk anymore, because at the moment, the man of the moment is a guy called Ben Fellows. Yeah! And he's a victim of abuse, the same as myself. And all you abuse victims here, especially institutional abuse, hello. Hello. And you don't be ashamed no more. It's not your fault. It's our governments. It's our politicians. Jimmy Savile was going to Margaret Thatcher's, I think it was 13 consecutive Christmases at Chequers, because he was updating her on all the paedophiles, the powerful ones, and then she put their arms up their backs and controlled it. Why didn't anybody ever question Margaret Thatcher? Anyway, you're all here. Just being here means you're doing something and you're part of it. And we got to fight against paedophilia, because it's still going strong now. So don't make your children ashamed of you. Let's pick up the beat on this. And where's David? Where's David? Is he about? Where's David? Ike, talk about it when you get up here, bruv. I haven't spoken to you for a while, David. Let's pick this subject up and let's start protecting the kids. Ladies and gentlemen, I proudly present Ben Fellows. Yeah!
I'm alive and well. I have been on the run for 7 days. I have lived in many houses, on boats, on coaches, travelling around the country to get here today to tell you this message, that Ken Clark is going to find himself in a court whether he likes it or not. Yeah! When they came out and said that Jimmy Savile was the only person in the BBC who was a paedophile, I said, I was a child actor in the BBC. There's loads of paedophiles. Children's BBC are run by paedophiles. You go to auditions, they say, take your top off. You know, can you pretend to lick an ice cream? That's how they do it. And it's all done through agents and casting directors. And then they came out and said, well, it's the wider industry. And they got pointed to the Daily Express. And they said, not only that, but when I met Kenneth Clark when I was working for the Cook Report as an investigative journalist 20 years later, I was 18 years old. The producer of the programme said, look, you say you're 15 to grease the wheels against these guys, because they knew that young boys hung around with these businessmen and they wanted to get in with them. So I said to Ken Clark when I met him, I'm 15 years old. And what did he do?
Drug you nuts.
Yeah, groped me. Sexually assaulted me. Yeah. So, the police came to me and said, this is Operation Fairbridge. Not U-Tree. Operation Fairbridge said, we're the men. They're the boys, U-Tree. We can actually go after these guys. And I said, well, what happens if why can't you go and ask Prince Charles? What was he doing with Jimmy Savile in Scotland? Yeah! Why can't you go and speak to him? And they said, basically, we'd love to. But we don't know if you can, protocols. But you need to make a statement against Ken Clark, because you don't know what's going to happen in the future. I said, I don't want to make a statement against Ken Clark. I've done my article, he hasn't sued me. Nobody has sued me. I have not seen a solicitor's letter. I have not seen a cease and desist from anybody. And that only happens when you're telling the truth. Otherwise, I'd be crucified, and it would have happened instantly. My YouTube channel got taken down, my Facebook channel got taken down, and my Twitter account got taken down, all in the space of about 10 minutes. And this is why. Because when the police came to me, they said, make this statement. I spent 8 hours with a detective being interrogated about the colour of the carpet, about the wallpaper, how many stairs were there, and I was accurate. And at the end of the 8 hours, they turned around to me and they went, Ben, you know what? You're spot on, we can do something with that. If it was a half-a-page statement, we wouldn't do anything. But because it's 15 pages, we're gonna go and speak to Mr. Clark. We'll get his side of the story. And I went, great. He goes, leave it with us. Give us a chance to investigate it. Let us do our job. And I went, you know what, mate? Absolutely. You seem all right to me. I'll let you do your job for 6 months. They were away. Every interview I did, I said, no. Give the police a chance. Let them do their job.
6 months later, which was a couple of weeks ago, they came back to me and said, look, Kenneth Clark is above the law, he cannot be touched. The people that you mentioned, I told them anecdotal evidence of my experience, so that, you know, with historical abuse, you need to put yourself in the room, have a good reason. I was working for the Cook Report, I was put there by the producers. The producer of the show said 6 months ago, yes, I was there, yes, Kenneth Clark was there, but yeah, they couldn't quite see the grope, even though we'd all watched it on the film back afterwards. Now, when the police went and interviewed her, she went, oh, I don't know, but then she works for BBC Panorama, doesn't she? And that should say it all. You know, these people have things to lose, so they don't speak out. I am a man alone, and I know that. I can be a man alone, because no one can silence me. Thank you. Really.
Yeah, I was talking to him.
And so the police came to me and said, he's above the law. There's a two-tier system. Politicians cannot and won't be spoken to by the paedophile unit. The paedophile unit won't speak to them. They're simply gathering intelligence to be used against these people. So when there needs something being voted for or something going their way, the paedophile unit give it out to whoever or they sell it or do whatever they do with it, and they force these politicians to do what they want, like Bill's saying about Margaret Thatcher. So Kenneth Clark's above the law. Andrew Lloyd Webber, who stuck his tongue down my throat, is above the law. And I was 13 years old. I was given drugs, I was given alcohol. I don't think it was like a line of coke in the bathroom with a £20 note, because it wasn't. It was a milkshake. A chocolate, a strawberry milkshake with cocaine in it. And people said, drink this will pep you up for the show. That's how you were given drugs. And then you were given alcohol. I went to Esther Ranson's house for a party, and we were doing drugs and alcohol in that party when we were kids. She's head of child life, for God's sake.
Yeah.
Can she be questioned? Absolutely. Can she be questioned? No. Jimmy Savile had to die before we questioned anything and all the victims came out. You know, Kenneth Clark cannot be questioned because the police admitted that there was a two-tier system in place. We are not part of it. If I made an allegation against any one of you or you me, I'd be spoken to by the police. I'd have to make a statement. What happened to me was the police just simply threatened me. So I filmed them, put them up on YouTube. Let you decide. I will take a lie detector test, just like they do on Jeremy Kyle, because in Jeremy Kyle they'll, you know, dash families' lives over a lie detector, they'll split families up. I'll do a lie detector test any day of the week and twice on Sundays about my Ken Clark story.
Yeah!
Absolutely. Not afraid of it whatsoever. So the police decided to threaten me. I had a man in a black mask outside my window of my flat threatening me and my wife over the phone on the day that Lee Rigby got killed. Saying, wow, because that soldier was going to happen to you. How can that be right? I was on the run for 7 days. And I knew I had to get here. Of course, my mistake was that I told my wife I was going one place and I actually went another. So she got very worried, it got onto the internet and it's gone viral. But in a way that was good because it's got it all out there to you lovely people here in the sun. So it's still ongoing for me. It's not over. What I'm trying to do now is get the story out to as many people as possible. Kenneth Clark will find himself in a court of law whether he likes it or not. And anybody else I've made complaints against, they will find themselves in a court of law. And I will not stop until it's done. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, just very quickly between it, just to lighten the mood a little bit. It's, ladies and gentlemen, he's a very funny man. He's Chris McGlade.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I'm a comedian, I've come all the way from Middlesbrough. Yeah! And we did this gig last night in a pub up the road, and the organiser asked me to come back here to spread my words of wisdom with you. I told jokes about all kinds of things. I'm been working all over the country. I was in London only 2 weeks ago on a tube train, sat opposite a Muslim fundamentalist with a bomb. I said, what are you going to do with that? He said, I'll tell you what I'm going to do with this. I'm going to detonate this bomb in the middle of London and destroy the capitalist heartland of this country. Bring it to a standstill. I said, listen, if you want to bring my country to a standstill, you don't have to detonate a bomb in the middle of London. All you've got to do is pray to Allah for half an inch of fucking snow. Throw some leaves on a railway line, that's North Yorkshire fucked. I'm absolutely sick to death of Muslim people being demonised as terrorists. Well, it's a great big con. It's just a con. How comes it went from the Irish Catholic to the Muslim overnight? It was like a fucking relay race. It was like Irish Catholic, Irish Catholic, Irish Catholic, Friday the 13th peace agreement, Muslim. You might as well have had Martin McGuinness and Jerry Adams passing a baton to fucking Saddam Hussein and Osama bin Laden. It's a con. Wake up, open your eyes! Oh, you coppers in the fields, listen to what I'm saying, you thick bastards! It's a con! Starting a Richard Reed, the shoe bomber. We have more CCTV cameras in this country than anywhere else in Northern Europe. But they didn't pick up Richard Reed walking the Heathrow airport with his shoes packed with Semtex. You're having a fucking laugh, aren't you? If your shoes were packed with high explosives and you were walking the Heathrow airport, you'd stand out like a sore thumb. You'd be walking around like that. You'd be like an extra from a fucking Bruce Lee film, wouldn't you? We have all these terror organisations, the Tamil Tigers. I thought they were a fucking rugby league side. Somebody told me the Northern Alliance are kicking off again. I thought, I hope I've got my fucking mortgage with them. It's all ways of making you afraid. If Muslim people were such a threat to white Christians, how comes they've been allowed to corner the market on fucking pizza? I thought that was an Italian thing. I can't. And if it's not terrorism, it's other things. It's drought. Drought! This is fucking England! We're the wettest country in northern fucking Europe! We have more rain than anywhere else! 3 days sunshine to call a fucking drought! Ours pipe bands tomorrow! Summer's falling on a fucking Saturday this week! Drought! It's been going on since 1985! If it goes on any longer, Ethiopia will be writing a fucking song for us! This is England! It's not like they don't know it's not going to rain again, do they? Go to Ladbrokes tomorrow and see what else you can get in it not raining in Watford for the next fucking 6 months! Don't laugh at you! Drought! And if it's not terrorism, it's not drought, it's on your TV! It's adverts on the telly! Have you seen that one? For strokes, time to act fast. The 4 signs of a stroke: face sagging, arm drooping, speech slurred. Time to act fast. No, it's not. It's time to stop drinking. You're fucking pissed. How irresponsible is that? To show this woman or this bloke with a burning hole in his head like the start of Bonanza. You could be having a stroke now. I'd be like, that's well, there's fuck all wrong with you. I can't see any smoke. And if it's not terrorism, they're keeping you, because it's all about keeping you in a box, making you afraid. Don't be afraid. There's nothing to be afraid of. If it's not drought, it's not terrorism, it's not adverts, it's other things. Swine flu. Chicken flu. When are we going to have fucking people flu? I I went to Glastonbury in 2009 to see Bruce Springsteen and Neil Young. There were 180,000 people there, coughing over each other, spluttering over each other, fucking holes that weren't intended to be fucked. And nobody came down with swine flu. Do you remember the Oriental lady on the television? We are now going into pandemic number 6. I thought it was a fucking dance. I thought it was like Mambo number 5. And if it's not that, it's other things. They tax every single facet of your life. They tax your clothes, they tax your shoes, they tax your cars, they tax your family, they tax your earnings, they tax your savings, and now they're taxing the weather.
Yeah.
And it's your fault according to them.
Yeah.
Global warming, I don't know about you, but I'm fucking freezing. 6 weeks ago I cancelled a show in Lichfield because they had 10-foot snow drifts. Every morning I'm out the windows allowed with my aerosol. Fuck the ozone layer. Let's have those rays coming down. Fuck it. You know, they tax everything. They can detonate nuclear bombs under the sea. They can detonate nuclear bombs under the earth. They can pump billions of tons of shit out into the atmosphere. But it's your fault for leaving your fucking lights on. Get your telly on standby, you're going to kill every fucker. Got it in now.
Put your telly on, you're going to kill every fucker. Yeah.
What I'm trying to say, right? Slow down a bit. I hope these drugs don't fucking wear off. Oh, using the field, I just had 4 lines of coke up my fucking nostrils. What are you going to do about it? I'm sick of political correctness. Political correctness is a fascism. Political correctness is a fascism that stops people speaking out. Political correctness was cynically brought in on the backs of black and Asian people, ushered in, so eventually everybody had to watch what they were saying and watch what they're doing, to the point now where if you post things on Facebook or Twitter or whatever, you're getting arrested, and it's fucking bullshit. I'm sick of living in this politically correct society that says you can't say this and you can't say that and you can't do this and you can't do that. You know, you can't smoke. I hate smoking. I hate smoking. I've got the lungs of a 75-year-old emphatic man because of the 2 irresponsible fuckers that brought me up smoking 60, 70 fags a day. I'm fucked with it. In the summer I'm out with a great big bag of snot and bile. Our mum and dad smoked that much when I was a kid. When we went on holiday for 2 weeks, we had to put patches on the fucking bungee. Come back of holiday, 2 weeks in Benidorm, parrot's in its cage. Polly wants a fucking fan! Bottom of the parrot cage, covered in polo wrappers. That's improvisation, by the way. I hate smoking, but as soon as the government or the people beyond government, because really all it is a way of subduing you people and getting you to accept what you should be telling them to fuck off for, do you know what I mean? As soon as the government say you can't smoke, I'm on 40 fags a day. Because they have that thing inside me that says I won't be told what to fucking do. Then they say you're going to drink responsibly. Drink fucking responsibly. I don't want to drink responsibly. I want to drink for the reason it was put there, to get fucking shit-faced. I want to be that drunk. I want to take me pants off, shit myself, and put it all over some fucker. I want to be that drunk. I want to take my coat off and throw myself over the fucking settee. I want to be that drunk. I want to go in my 16-year-old daughter's bedroom, stick my fingers down my throat, puke my guts up all over her, and say, Now you know what I had to go through when you were a fucking baby. That's how drunk I want to be. Then you say, they tell us you can't say packy, you can't say nigger. I don't want to say them. I hate the words. I hate the word nigger more than I hate the word cunt. But as soon as you tell me I can't say it, I take my life in my own hands and run round Brixton going nigger, 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 nigger. Because I won't be told what to say. Do you know something, right? 10 years ago, I was the most down the road, quiet, mild-mannered, middle-of-the-road person, but because the government have stopped everything, they've created the biggest alcoholic chain-smoking races in the fucking country. Leave us alone. Stop swearing.
Stop drinking.
Fuck off.
Brownie words.
What I'm trying to say, right, normally, I've got my pebble. Normally I have some water and I drop my pebble into some water. But I've got no water today. But what am I trying to do with that pebble? When I drop it in the water, I'm trying to create ripples. Ripples of laughter. And that is what life is all about. It's come here today and I'm trying to make you laugh by creating ripples of laughter. What's happened in this country today is political correctness has built up barriers between people. It's segregated communities. It's caused fear and mistrust. And it's about time that we weren't afraid to laugh at other people, so long as you've got the courage to laugh at yourself. So keep on laughing, keep on loving, keep those ripples spreading out from this place today. It's great to play in front of 2,000 spiritual people, because I know exactly what you fucking well are. You're all spiritual people who have heart and soul, so keep laughing at each other, laugh at yourself, and let's love a little bit more. Peace and God bless. Thanks
Brilliant. Anyone was offended by that, we apologise, but we know what Chris was saying. Apparently there's a couple of kids who were offended. We absolutely not. Okay, now, the next guest is a very special guest. I'm going to hand you over to someone else to introduce him when he's around the backstage area.
The information where unknown forces strike the edge of ecology.